Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Phil's Recap and Review. This is for Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 8, Surrender. And we're finally back for some Star Trek Picard reviews. We did talk about Season 1, I think quite a few episodes of Season 1, if I remember correctly. And we're finally back to cover this show. The end of Season 1 made me feel very disillusioned with all of everything Picard and most things Star Trek CBS. At that point, I sort of gave up on. Lower Decks helped save me a little bit, and Strange New Worlds definitely hits a lot of good points that I enjoy. But to me, that's what that 90s, late, I guess the very end of the 80s, early 90s and all through the 90s, Berman Star Trek feel I was missing. The only place you got it was the Orville. And as much as I love the Orville and it's its whole unique, different thing, it still felt slightly bittersweet to have Star Trek that didn't necessarily feel 100% like Star Trek. And that's not saying whether Discovery was good or bad or anything. I don't want to get into that necessarily, but it felt sort of a different feel or a different theme to it. Whereas this season of Picard, Season 3, coming on in, even if it has points that I think, obviously, I'm here, not alone. I got Joe Dirty Locks here, and I'll introduce him in a second. But I think we both probably can have little things that we're a little bit nitpicky on, and nothing's perfect. But every episode of this so far, to me at least, feels like I'm watching Star Trek. Maybe to its detriment occasionally even, but it still feels like I'm watching a Star Trek. Maybe rudimentary at times, but when the band goes off the rails and they start writing some shitty songs, they gotta get back to the basics kind of album here. And leading from this series into a potential Star Trek Legacy series, which I'll talk to Joe about in a second, which is a sequel series for this involving legacy characters from Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and new characters that you're introducing, like this actual awesome captain guy that I don't know how Joe feels about him, but I really am digging on this captain. But of course, I'm not alone. With me today is Joe Dirty Locks. Hey, how's it going, Joe?
It goes good.
It goes good. I mean, I know you might not be as silly Billy Gumdrops over the top about this series as I am, but
why would you assume that?
I don't know.
Who's the one that got you into Trek?
In fairness, you did, but watching it, or you and Elia kind of got pushed Trek, and my cousin Gotti, but he was more into. He got into the second Trek as well, and we'll bring Gotti on sometime in the next couple of weeks, hopefully.
It was tough for me to get into the Next Generation. Dude, when Next Generation came out, it took me like the full first season. I watched the full first season, but I was like, every second of it, I was like, this is dumb. This isn't Spock and Kirk.
Yeah, this is...
I was so off-put by all of them, but like, by the time that first season ended, I was all in.
Even after the first season, it took
all what, 5-6 seasons?
Yeah, I had a different path to it, Joe, with Next Generation, and we were talking about this a little bit before we started. Joe was more of a fan of Next Generation.
I had just gotten into the original series, just the year or year and a half before Next Generation came out. My brother's influence about Trek had finally destroyed my brain, and I needed to go watch Star Trek the original series, and it was all about that. So when Next Generation came out, it was just completely not same. It wasn't.
And even when they brought in McCoy in that first episode, for me, the path to Star Trek was my cousin Gotti was way into the original cast. I was way into them. I liked them. I was all about that. And then basically, eventually, the Next Generation started, and I didn't like it at first. I tried season 1, I tried season 2, I couldn't hook into it. And for a long time, my feeling about Star Trek was I only liked the original cast. I only liked Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Chekhov, and Sulu, and Uhura, and Scotty.
And you were basically like McCoy.
McCoy, yeah, especially McCoy. I have him. I don't know. Is there still a McCoy? Yeah, there's a Dr. McCoy right next to Weird Al Yankovic right there on my microphone. I love Dr. McCoy and his relationship with Spock. Kirk is great, but for me, Star Trek.
No, the last 30 seconds of 10 seconds or whatever, every episode, when the three of them are standing on the bridge together, fucking ragging on Spock or ragging on McCoy or ragging on Kirk.
Yep.
There's always some like little quips back and forth about, you fucking cold-blooded Vulcan or some shit, right?
Yeah, you cold-blooded Vulcan disaster, whatever he ends up talking about. I love it, Joe. I love that dynamic because there's so much love behind it too. It reminds me of on Deep Space Nine later on the relationship between Quark and Garrett, not Quark and Odo. Sorry, but both of them that
very much so.
That I love. I hate you, but there's a love buried in there somewhere.
But there's no hate between
No, and there's distinct hate between Odo and Quark. There's a lot of freaking hate between the two of them. I just want to jump into the chat for 1 second because we don't have a ton of people in chat, but we'll get more popping on in here right now. But the people we do have here, some of the most awesome folks we can. We got Jen, who's here all the way from Australia, Joe, who's about time you guys got the hell on here. It's getting back to basics, next generation. So is there going to be a spinoff? And we also have Jay. And is there going to be a spinoff? Yes, Joe. Before we get into this episode, we're going to break down this whole entire episode, episode 8. If you want to call on in, you can call on in 781-990-8509. Leave your thoughts on this show so far. And we'll get back to what we were talking about in a second. But to answer your question, yes, or they're trying to.
If it does, it's leading off to a darker version of Star Treks that we've seen,
but lighter than Discovery and some of the other shows that we've seen.
Discovery wasn't a heavy show.
It tried to be. It was in my mind. It tried a little too hard.
I was thinking Voyage.
Okay, no, okay, cool. No, Discovery was very dark, dude. With the Klingons,
it started out that way. I didn't after they lightened it up, reformed the whatever the Federation. That's the season I stopped. I was like, I think I'm done.
Yeah, they lightened it up a little bit as time went on. It's an all right show at times, but whatever. I'm not a fan.
As soon as she started shouting out her catchphrase behind the fucking chair,
yeah,
I was like, okay.
And Strange New Worlds has been all right, but I'm not loving it like I love this. But the series basically, and I'm gonna blank on the person's name, so I can't say who it is. There's a different showrunner for Picard than all the other Star Trek series, basically, but the Discovery and all the that's
Quentin Tarantino.
Could be. He did you say that because he wanted to do a Star Trek movie?
Yes.
And they said no to him. You said no to Quentin Tarantino because he wanted too much input on the plot.
I get it. So it's one thing you want to make
Joe,
the Snyder version of DC superheroes, right?
Bless you.
Sorry about that. But it's another thing to take Star Trek franchise and give it to someone who, in spite of their capability, you can trust that he's going to make it Tarantino. There's going to be blood spray. Star Trek has never been about
bullshit. Bullshit. Star Trek 6 when they go in, Kim Cattrall's people go in there and they kill the Klingons. There's Klingon blood everywhere.
But it's not okay. It's Kill Bill style where there's.
You're telling me Wrath of Khan when they take a giant worm and put it in someone's ear? Like you can't imagine Tarantino. My thing with this, Joe, I appreciate all like when you're on something. I think you're fucked on this one because Quentin Tarantino wants to do it. One of the top 5 directors of all time wants to touch your property. You let the motherfucker do what he wants.
I agree to an extent. But it depends
you trust
on what
him.
he wants.
Fair.
Because it's like Disney property, right? You don't say Quentin Tarantino comes to Disney and says, "I want to do a Mickey Mouse project."
That's different. That is
what?
That is different because Star Trek he's a fan of, and I doubt he's a fan of Mickey Mouse.
No, you don't know that. You didn't know he was a fan of Star Trek until he came out with that wanting to do Star Trek.
And he specifically, he'd always talked about how he's a Star Trek fan, and he specifically talked about the kind of episode or movie he wanted to do. He said it would be inspired by the episode Yesterday's Enterprise.
But you don't. It's not. Listen.
I don't want to go too far down this road.
I know, and we're not, but you don't know that he's not a fan in it. That would be like saying, like, the franchise itself.
Do you trust Quentin?
Has a level of morality. It has a level of social commentary of these things that Gene Roddenberry wanted to make sure endured with that franchise name.
Please. Then
but but that's the thing. And if you give it to someone like Quentin Tarantino, you are possibly and depending on how much freedom you have, I say you hear him out, you listen to him, you find out what the project is, you listen to the idea, you make that an honest and genuine
gave it
talk,
to J.J. Abrams, who wanted to turn Star Trek into Star Wars, and then you gave it to Alex, and then you gave it to.
I thought he did a great job. With
I think he did. I think the first
movies.
And the third one, the second one.
Yeah. Two of them anyway.
But they were fun movies. But they were him doing his audition roles to do Star Wars. He even said that. He said he wasn't even a Star. I listened to an interview with him around the time too. He's like, I'm not even a Star Trek fan. I just wanted to make those movies that it gets me ingrained in the studio system and blah 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 blah. Like I understand that, but and then you hand the keys to Star Trek to Alex Kurtzman, who turns it into a bang boom bomb bomb, like in the end of every season of Discovery, the end of the first 2 seasons of Picard. To me, Star Trek works better when you have more of a committee that can use a lot of influence. And that's kind of my point to bring this back to Picard. This season 3, you finally have a new voice in the building. The gentleman who is working on this season is a new guy. I can't think of his name. We'll try to get it for next week. But he is obviously loves Star Trek more than Alex Kurtzman, who is making these other shows trying to stray away from it.
I'm not going to argue that fact, of course. But
he loves it. He's bathing in it.
But you also don't know what his vision of it is, and there's a very distinct
I'm not talking about Tarantino. I'm talking about the guy that's doing this right now.
Okay.
Just wrap this up. We'll talk about Tarantino. We'll do a different podcast where we'll debate the merits of Tarantino. Like, let's do something different with that. But let's get back to Picard.
Yeah, no, this guy, you can tell he's been a fan for a while.
Yeah, you can just feel it in this show, and he does it in a way, and we'll talk about this tonight. He does it in a way that those member berries, those.
Wait, the showrunner isn't
Alex Kurtzman. No,
it's not. It's not. I thought it was Riker.
No, he's just a director of many episodes.
Okay.
He's not. I think he didn't even direct as much as he wanted because he's sort of coming out of retirement for acting. But don't make me cry. You're gonna make me cry about Spot here in a second. So there is going to be a spinoff.
Spot is Katie's favorite Star Trek character of all time.
Is she watching Picard right now as well? Did she?
Oh, of course.
Did she enjoy the Spot scene that we got in the?
Yep.
And to jump ahead here, because basically what I'm going to say is there is going to be a spinoff. The creator of this show wants to do a spinoff called Legacy that will deal with individualized stories, maybe not every episode different, but every season different crew members from the history of Star Trek coming together with some new members too, doing different off missions, like a Tales from the Crypt kind of series, or different tales from the Star Trek kind of thing, which I think would be an awesome choice with some of because what you see in this episode, Joe, between all the good and the bad and anything you can pick apart, this cast really love each other, and it's a shame that this is the first time they've all worked together in so long. It felt since Star Trek Nemesis. And because those movies, because this cast, God bless them, Joe. This isn't an insult, and I mean this with all sincerity. They're not movie stars.
They're Star Trek stars.
They're Star Trek stars.
Anything. Picard is different.
Patrick Stewart's different, but I'm saying like this show, this cast is supposed to be on television. Whereas I will argue that better or worse, Nimoy and Shatner, and especially Shatner and DeForest Kelly, come off like movie stars, and they belong on the big screen. Like that cast, because of the top-heavy nature of it, and what I mean by the top-heavy nature of it is as much as I love me some George Takei, Sulu is not an important character. I love Uhura. She's not an important character. Scotty is not an important character. They're all hollow characters. The only 3 that count are Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. That's it. Like everything else, all the rest of them are really awesome, and I love them. And they're expanded more in video games and novels. And Sulu begged to get a ship, and he got with the Excelsior stuff. But really, it works so well in a movie because of the 2 of them. And when you transition Next Generation to the movie, you lost so much of the secondary characters because they focused so much on Patrick Stewart, and then they had to pick a second person, and they didn't pick Riker, they picked Data. And all the movies are sort of Data Picard centric, which is interesting. And that's where you lose Data and Geordi's friendship to a certain extent, which they bring back here, which is so fucking emotional because they
and it feels so soft because they've already done it so much of the shit with Picard and him.
Exactly, but
they made Picard and Data's friendship this thing that was more than Geordi and him.
Yeah, and that was stupid.
Like, he told Geordi where his fucking off switch was.
Yep. Joe, and
he never told Picard where his fucking off switch was. Like, Picard ended up having to know, but like...
No, everyone in the ship knew because of how many times he tried to take over the ship.
Yeah, how many times he had to use it, but seriously.
But really, ultimately, they did do that, Joe. They even in the first 2 seasons of Picard, they still didn't get it. They still didn't get it. And they made the relationship between Picard and Data more important than Geordi. They didn't even talk about Geordi. At the end of Nemesis, when Data died, they didn't focus on Geordi's feelings that Data went. They focused on Picard and kind of everyone as a whole. But Geordi was just, he walked in the room after it happened. I was like, what happened? And they didn't really focus on the fact that he lost his best fucking friend.
Right.
And that's what this show gets. It's almost course correcting. And that's why maybe it's basic at times, but it needs to because it's course correcting a lot of freaking things. Making Jean-Luc Picard again. Say what you want about Picard season 1 or 2. He comes off frail and like he can't do anything anymore. And he's a mess and he's a fuck up and all this sort of stuff. This season, he's Picard. Older, but he feels like Picard. What they're doing with Brent Spiner in this episode specifically really worked. Geordi is killing it. You can see how happy he is playing this character. How is this the first time we've had LeVar Burton back in Star Trek in goddamn how long, Joe? I know I'm losing my shit. I'm Joe ranting myself tonight, but
I'm just letting you go. This kitty's killing my face.
But I am excited. But to answer your question, Jen, yes, it's going to be a spin-off series. Yes, I did appreciate seeing the Gorn again. I was going to say this, Joe. I know you don't necessarily always love these things. I love how this show is handling member berries, remembering things, like the way they bring things into the plot. Like in Daystrom, we had to go there, so they brought back a lot of the like seeing Kirk's body.
Dude, they did the whole member berries thing in the episode.
Yeah, tonight's episode had a lot of member berries, but it worked.
It was a whole segment about members.
Yeah, but didn't it work for you too? Because people say we're always negative. I'm gonna be like Chris Farley positive. Joe, didn't it like totally work for you because it actually mattered to the fucking plot? Like, it's not member berries for member berry purpose. It was part of a scheme that Data was playing on lore to make it like interesting, and I thought that really worked. I don't know, how'd you feel about that?
It did work, but it was very obvious.
Yeah, I mean,
like, of course he says it straight to Lore, and Lore is so arrogant he completely fucking ignores it, right? Like, he says, no, brother, it's my memories that make me me. That it's what I am. That's what makes me who I am, is my memories. And then he's just constantly he keeps handing them to, okay, brother. Yep. I guess this is yours now.
And there was
you're taking everything. So here you go, brother. Take all my memories. Haha, now I'm you.
There was a moment when he figured it out too. It was just Lore is stupid. You're right. Lore
arrogance. His arrogance is blinds him.
And there was a moment, and I thought it worked too. And I thought a couple of giveaways where when he gave him the poker deck and talked about this is my deck of cards that I use with my friends to hint possible bluffing and such.
Spot taught me love,
Joe.
Right after handing over the hologram of Tasha. Who taught me horny.
I was dying crying. I don't know if you got that far, but I was crying. I was fucking crying.
I did not cry, Phil. There was no tears for this episode. I had I was enjoying it, but I was also at the same point.
Two member berry
times. Right.
Oh no. Okay. What were you gonna say? How many times? What? Because I agree with a couple of how many times that I was about.
So we gotta watch Data take over the ship, or Data and Lore fight, or
not. Or this is the last time Data finally overcame him.
And let's hope so. But Lore's always in there. Before's always in
Joe.
there. Dr. Sung is always in there.
Joe,
For
when
how
him
long?
taking over the ship was the best part of the episode. I'll challenge you on that. When he gets on the loudspeaker
Oh, of course, dude.
and he's like, "You motherfuckers!" Like,
oh, dude, and what's the little fucking thing
monologuing protoplasms.
and so, like you said last week, she's probably not your favorite character, but you love her, right? And I'm like, this week, I'm like, Jesus Christ, Katie. It's not that I don't like her. I think the actress is great.
She's killing it. She is
killing
the performance, dude.
Just it's annoying, and it's a bit too much of it and that's the writer's fault, right?
It
that's
is
the writer's fault and director's fault for having it just
ham it up. She's hamming it up.
And it's constant and
she's
overbearing.
And Joe, I'll add to your sass here. She's every Star Trek villain ever. I'll give Red Letter Media credit for this because they said it. The actress is putting a great performance together, but unfortunately, she is on the long line of the samey Star Trek villain, this angry and she's doing a great job of it. It's not her fault that every villain in Star Trek is the goddamn same, but maybe it's not. See, what I thought initially is maybe she's not so bad and she's being controlled by the weird head thing that's going on. We're going to talk about that in a second. We'll talk about what we think Jack Crusher's going on with Jack Crusher.
The same.
But so I feel like there's a good person within there, like, and her line as she's going out the window, and I know some people are hit or miss with swearing in Star Trek, but it was such a fucking.
Crusher.
Or no, she goes fucking solids. It was just such
It
was just such a good line. But Data's line, whole thing. This is your pissed off computer android taking over the ship
AI,
again.
Yeah.
And all monologuing protoplasms can shut up. There's a change in shift. Like it was just it was a great lore data lore moment as their one, because he had the lore's arrogance with Data's charm, and if they can do the balance of that, Brent Spiner can play this character for a long time. Because one thing they said around the time Nemesis, the reason why they killed Data, Joe, was because Brent Spiner was getting too old to play him. I don't. If they never said anything and he just aged playing like that, no one gives a shit. And people don't remember this, but they put it in an early Star Trek Next Generation episode where they say Data has an aging subsystem, and they forgot about that, and they never fucking talk about it. But he can actually age.
I was gonna say that too, but I was just so happy that they said it, and I was gonna say I can't stand this. Every time she opens her mouth, it ends up being this huge monologue. But it's more like a diatribe.
And Data said it for you, Joe.
Because she's talking with someone, not just to herself most of the time. You know what I mean?
Data, Joe ranted for you.
And like as soon as he said it, Phil, I fucking stood up and I was like, "Yes, Katie!" I started pointing. I was like, "Yeah."
It was great. It was really great, and that's my thing. Like they did a lot of hoops to bring Data back, considering what they have, what they did in season 1 with him, and they kind of just yada yada it. And I like that they yada yada it with Brent Spiner in that final scene where we finally get the whole cast back together around the table. And he's like, "Yes, I wanted to die. My version of that wanted to die. But there's no place I would have rather be." What I take from that is we couldn't have done this without bringing Spiner back too. So we can go through a couple of hoops.
Two things about the Data thing, though.
Yep.
I want to say before I forget.
Please.
One is the contractions. Data, you used a contraction. No, I didn't. And I've mastered humor too, right? Geordi's proper response should have been to turn around and shut the motherfucker off immediately.
Yes. And be
Am I wrong?
No, because he knows that at that point he's not full Data. He has actually.
It don't matter. He used a motherfucking contraction. That's
no, he's evolved, but that's the thing. He's taken what he need. He to get to what we might talk about a little bit later with what these fucking things are.
Lore's fooled them all before.
He might have, but it is lore essentially. Like Data.
Parts of
Data, yep. But Data gave so much of himself that lore turned into Data. So it is all of Lore's stuff, just with Data having Borg
full control over it all.
Control, like assimilated him essentially.
And the second thing was there's a point before they wake him up, and they say, "We need Data to kill them," basically, right? And Geordi says, "But he can't. his subroutines
Oh,
prevent him
we've seen him
from
kill.
harming any life at all.
Okay, Batman.
Period. And I was like, what?
The only
We've seen him. He would never be able to fire the phaser gun.
Joe, I agree.
He would, like,
we've seen him kill people before. The only thing I can think, Joe, and this is the only thing I can think, that maybe they mean, and I read this somewhere in something, I'm copying someone's opinion, so I can't remember, give credit, but I'm not formulating my own opinion, that perhaps when Data is working in the service of Starfleet, that's considered part of his job and not murder. And in this situation, he would be essentially murdering his brother, and that is beyond his moral subsystem. But essentially, to the point, Joe, he did. He murdered Lore. He did murder Lore.
And here's the thing.
He just found a way to outsmart that situation.
In any circumstance, the point would be he can take a life for the greater good.
Yes.
And having to take Lore's life would be for the greater good and saving of everybody else on that ship.
Yep, and he did. He ultimately, did take Lore's life. Let's get to a little bit of the chat, and Jay, I will get to your voicemails in a second. Please call in if you're listening to this after the fact, as I feel like we'll have more people listening after the fact to this. You can call in 781-990-8509, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Go, Joe.
I also like that Geordi's there to make sure that Picard and Deanna and everybody else that's in the room there can understand, or the doctor and Picard or whoever, that the red lights are Lore.
Okay.
And the blue lights are Data. Oh no! Look at Lore is taking over. Is that
Joe,
what the red means?
Joe, I got to get to this before we go to the chat. I got to get to this shit before we go to the chat. So
It's like Quest. Like, I repeat what the computers. I have one job to do on this goddamn.
She is
Sigourney, to repeat the fucking computer, and I'm gonna fucking do it.
She is kind of Sigourney Weaver, but that's giving Sigourney a lot of shit. Like I'd rather have her on the ship. But okay, let's get into this. I love, I like the character of Deanna in certain situations, but she's useless on Next Generation for the most part. And I feel like, especially in the movies, they forget about some of the characters and they lost them. I will say this has been an excellent season for Beverly Crusher. They've actually figured out a way to figure out what to do with her. Same with Worf and George, like all the characters, they found their spots. And I will add to Deanna.
I feel like Beverly Crusher is just doing what she's always done.
She is, but they forgot about her in the movies. She's actually back to being Beverly fucking Crusher. Like in the movies, they just didn't give her enough to do. And so you lost how good Gates.
She's the doctor. She's in sickbay doctoring.
And I know, but like in the ship, she's also a big element of the dynamic of the multiple cast. And I feel like in the movies, Gates got kind of left by the door, and she's a big element of this season. Her dynamic with Picard, her dynamic with the rest of the cast. My question to you, Joe, and I'll offer my own opinion as well. Did they figure out how to do something cool and interesting with Deanna, or is Deanna more of the same for you in this episode? Is it more Deanna Troi, useless person on the ship? I actually like her dynamic with Riker in this episode, their arguments, and we're going to get into my favorite scene in the entire episode, her and Worf, where Worf is flirting with his wife in front of him, and Riker...
inappropriate.
Inappropriate! Is this a rescue, or is this continuing torture? Dun-dun-dun. Again, I'm jumping all over the place, Joe, but Jonathan Frakes is the MVP of this fucking season.
Did he like ever tell? Did he have a thing for Deanna?
Yeah, they dated for a while in season 7, for like 2 episodes in season 7. Basically, what happened? Just to do a quick aside, Joe, to memory lane. There was an episode where Worf saw multiple dimensions of himself, and in one of them, he had married Deanna, and she helped him raise his son, and they were a family, and blah blah blah. So when he got back to the real world, finally after all of that, he had feelings for her, and he talked to her about him, and her and Riker were on the outs at that time, and she indulged him for a while, and they dated for a while up until, or through the last episode of the series, All Good Things, they were dating. Like when Picard runs out in, like, I've had a dream of myself in multiple timelines, a thing. He bumps into Deanna and Worf after they just made out on a date. And there is mention of it on Deep Space Nine about them not working out. So that is a big thing. So to have Worf come back in and be like, my heart, I'm sensitive because of you, and and underrated dynamic of all through Star Trek is Worf and Riker playing off the age-old Kirk hating Klingon vibe, because as people know, Riker is the stand-in on the ship for Kirk. And as much as Riker is his own character, he's very Zap Brannigan Kirk. You can't get past it. And he's very much in this season. Like, he's great for me, Joe. As much as, you know, I'm a Data fan, I'm more of a Picard fan. I never really liked Riker as much on the series because I felt he was the poor man's Kirk in some ways. But he is so awesome on this show right now. He's my favorite character right now on the show. Yeah, not a big Frakes fan. I see it.
I don't really have, like, it's not. No, I am a big Jonathan Frakes fan in his work.
Like more as like a director and stuff.
Yeah, but there's like I wouldn't say I was a big fan of any particular character over the others, but I would say I dislike some more than the others.
Yeah.
Because Star Trek is very much an ensemble.
It works
right?
better.
Like
Modern Trek, or not modern Trek, 90s, 2000 Trek works best if it's an ensemble. It does. It definitely does. And I mean, that's what's great about, not to keep bringing it up because it's a different series. That's what's great about the Orville, because the Orville is excellent ensemble piece. No, like, as much as I like Seth MacFarlane and the Party grew on me, it's a show about all of the cast members. So Jen says there was a very dark first season of Star Trek Next Generation episode where Gene was sick. I liked it, but he hated it. He also, as far as I know and as far as everyone says, Gene would have hated Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine goes against everything Gene believed in. Crew members arguing, not getting along. He believed that all interpersonal relationships should be solved by that time and people wouldn't really fight, which sounds like bullshit to me because he's the one that focused so much on Spock and McCoy. I think he started to just get a little squirrely as time went on, and that's why early Next Generation and a lot of Next Generation until the last 2 seasons, you never really get characters having conflict with each other, because a lot of Gene's vision of that was having everyone be shiny, happy people in the future and getting along, because why wouldn't they? We'd be evolved past interpersonal human conflict, which Deep Space Nine is based around that very thing, and that's what makes Deep Space Nine awesome. So that's why I maybe am a little bit whatever about Gene's vision. I feel like at the end, he got a little weird. He got a little squirrely and was sick and didn't make all the best decisions.
No. He was upset about it because it was a blatant theft of Babylon 5.
No, it wasn't. I'm not talking about Deep Space Nine, Joe. I'm talking about Star Trek.
You're talking about Gene Roddenberry saying Deep Space Nine lost the Roddenberry vision, and because it was about conflicts on the space station with all these aliens. And that's because that was stolen from
because the Babylon 5 creator came to the Star Trek company and pitched the Babylon 5 idea. They refused it and then shortly came out with Deep Space Nine. That's simply coincidental, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
The name is McDowell's. It's different. Different. The Golden Arches. You get the Golden Arches. I get the Golden Arcs, Joe. We got Loner Incognito. What's up? Great to see you. Yes, the ensemble wouldn't work without them all. I agree, Loner. And that's what's great about the original cast. All those other secondary characters really balance out and they fill out the stars. They make those other characters shine. George Takei and Walter Koenig and Duhan might all hate fucking Shatner's guts, but they know how to make him look good on camera and work for the ensemble, working to make Kirk save the day every time. Again, Joe mentioned it earlier. If you've never watched Galaxy Quest, I feel like Galaxy Quest is too true to be.
Oh God, it's fucking brilliant.
Is the lost Star Trek movie. It's like Wes Craven's New Nightmare to the Star Trek world. It basically is like a behind the scenes of how things really are with the cast, and I feel
it's brilliant. It's layered. Sam Rockwell's great in it. Sigourney Weaver's great in it.
Everyone.
Snape.
Alan Rickman is
Rickman's
it's
great in it.
It's one of Alan Rickman's best roles, and because you don't often see him in comedic roles, but he kills it in that one.
Tony Shalhoub is great.
Tony Shalhoub is perfect in that. And another great Alan Rickman is just hilarious. Okay, Data became the new number one. He did. They filled out Geordi as a character, more complete person. I agree. Meow. She was brilliant in Pulp Fiction. Data's mom was designed to age, but didn't even know. Absolutely, Jen. A lot of people don't know. Designed very human looking and was designed to age, and she aged her whole life and didn't know, very much more like the Picard body that he's in, his positronic matrix that he's in at this moment. That's a brilliant take on the Picard Riker dynamic. Asimov's Law. They made Beverly great again. The brilliant take on Picard Riker design. Cute cat Joe says Turkish. Phil and Joe just dropping in, fellas. Great to see you, hey, Sonic. Great to see all of you folks popping on in. I know Tony's doing a From stream, so if you check that out, make sure you give Tony my love over there. I'll be on with Tony again on Wednesday. We got Jen Hack back. So let's get into Jay's couple of messages before we break this episode down, Joe. This is Jay who's gonna call me out on something. I think I said something bad about the J.J. Abrams Star Trek, and I might be in trouble with Jay here.
I think the bigger issue than the rated R thing, because
it's Quentin Tarantino.
He probably could have gotten around that, is he probably wanted to make a Quentin Tarantino Star Wars film that
Star Trek,
probably didn't even fit into. Probably wanted to make his own Star Wars little.
I love it. I know Jay hates when I pause it, but he said it twice, so I wasn't gonna correct him the first time and be that douchebag. Star Trek, not Star Wars. But I know you know what. We all know what Jay's talking about, but he's talking about Star Trek. Just to clarify.
I don't know. Other world or whatever, where he gets to use any character or whatever for his little story, and it wouldn't, and anyone else that made a Star Wars, a Star Trek franchise did interact with his characters, and he probably wanted complete control and other type of shit they weren't willing to give him. All right, later.
Let me go for a second here, Joe. He's 100% right. That's what he wanted. And to Joe's point too, I think Joe and Jay here, who don't always agree but have the same argument here, essentially, that Tarantino would have wanted too much power and Star Trek wouldn't have wanted to let him make it a Tarantino movie. My thing is that what is the harm? And what is the harm of doing a individual Star Trek movie that to his point, what Tarantino wanted to do was do something in the Yesterday's Enterprise kind of situation, where you do an alternative timeline situation where
that's the problem.
A mirror universe alternative timeline situation, and do not motherfucker, but do something odd and weird with unique, different individual Star Trek characters that we've never met before.
And the problem with that, though,
I would have loved that. Personally, I would have loved that.
I probably would have too. I honestly would have. But the problem with it, coming from the other perspective, is that it alters the Star Trek universe. So even though you're saying it's an alternate universe, it's an alternate timeline, Star Trek has explored alternate universes and alternate timelines in all of their series. So it becomes canon. It becomes canon no matter what. Any Star Trek movie or media becomes canon.
I disagree.
Even the there's a YouTube fan video where they do it interviews with different officers. The guy that plays Candyman.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Star Trek.
Even that is fucking canon.
I disagree with you. I feel like when you do video games, when you do comic books, when you do spin-off audiobook series,
books, video games are not TV and movies.
So why can't you
do movies?
Why can't you do a movie?
Because TV and
Marvel
movies
does it. Marvel and DC do it.
And they don't do it.
Yeah, they do. They do
it. The fans do not keep those things separate.
They do.
Sorry.
Joe,
Venom
they do. They do. The animated universe. Bullshit. The animated. They do animated versions or something.
Yes, they do.
Into the Spider-Verse has nothing to do with the Marvel universe. All the Bruce Timm DC movies that have come out in the theaters or straight to video have nothing to do with the Snyderverse.
But here's
you
the
can
thing.
do it with
Here's the
Star
thing.
Trek too. It has
Here's the
nothing to
thing.
do with those universes.
Disney fucked it up.
This isn't Disney. This is
No, stop.
Okay.
You brought up Marvel, so I'm going to tell you right now. Disney fucked it up. As soon as they bring in Kang and all these different fucking timelines and all these different fucking universe fucking shit, guess what? Spider-Verse is now canon. It's now canon. It now is. All of it is now that Disney universe of Marvel. It all resides.
Fair enough.
There is no one-off because they decided to go play with infinite universes.
But Joe, to that point, Star Trek has already opened that door on Next Generation and many things.
You risk altering.
But you already did it.
Of time and space, Phil.
You already did it.
Phil, I'm a doctor, not a physicist.
J.J. Abrams did the same thing by blowing up Vulcan and changing the timeline with the traveling in time Spock. Like, I'm saying, like, it's not too crazy to do it. You just give it. If Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino, or Steven Spielberg, if they, it was pretty shitty, but the comic book makes a lot of sense where Geordi helped create the ship and whatever. Okay, so let's get into the live chat for a second here. Everyone right now, if you're in here, we know we don't have the biggest crowd, but hit that like button.
Ephraim Cochran.
Hit Zephyrin Cochran. That was with the Borg and shit. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, share this out right now. Kyle says, Kyle, father to the Bears. Dragon Ball Z GT is not canon. Then we got Puss in Boots, which is all canon. Jen says, if you know what canon is, why can't you go more? I know the difference. If we have if we have the Calvin line, we can have the goddamn Tarantino line, Joe. We already have, and that's my point, Joe, is that we already have this in Star Trek. We already have multiple universes and multiple people doing multiple things that aren't all connected. Don't fucking tell me Discovery is the same universe as this. It's not. It's a completely different fucking universe. Same with Lower Decks.
It's just a couple hundred years in the future.
Lower Decks might be the next generation. No, it's in the past.
Discovery?
Discovery's now in the past. They went in the past. Whatever. We don't have to. Please, can we not talk about Discovery? My head's gonna break. Lower Decks is the future of Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, maybe, but it's its own fucking thing in its own universe, its own tone completely. And if you can do Lower Decks, if you can give to Rick and Morty creators, you can give it to Quentin Tarantino. Like, have you watched Lower Decks? Do you see how ridiculous it is?
Fucking awesome.
It's great. It's a fun show, but it's completely over the top, different feel to Star Trek. If you can do that, you're telling me you can't give Quentin Tarantino a Star Trek series?
You risk altering the very
you don't do that with Lower Decks, Joe. See, now you're just repeating yourself because you know I'm right.
No, because it's a cartoon.
Oh, a cartoon. So if Tarantino wanted to do a cartoon, it would be okay.
No.
Oh my God.
It still wouldn't be okay.
It's fucked.
No, listen. I'm just saying I understand why they rejected his.
I hear you. I think
I want a Quentin Tarantino.
Right. I get what you're saying. You want it. You just get why they chose not to. I get
it. I get it from a franchise, from keeping the vision of what they have for Star Trek as far more wholesome than what Quentin Tarantino has ever done.
Oh my God, Joe. But yes.
What wholesome thing has he ever done? Like the Jew Bear coming out fucking smashing.
No, Joe, but that's not my point.
My point
is Star Trek always wholesome? No. Deep Space Nine is not always wholesome.
Neither is Star Trek not always wholesome.
I could name multiple Deep Space Nine episodes that are anything but wholesome.
Oh, come on. They're all wholesome.
They're not.
Shows.
Come on.
Practically watch them on church Sunday.
They murder people. They
don't murder anybody.
There was a lot of murder, Joe. There's a lot of
Murder is the case
that they gave me. Yeah, murder. Okay, Kyle says Discovery was great. If you're talking about the Daft Punk album. Okay, so here, let's get to Jay's second message.
Yes.
Hey Phil, I got an interesting would you rather.
Oh no.
Would you rather all of Star Trek media and like the videos and stuff no longer existed?
Oh no.
Or it all still exists, but anytime you watch anything, you would only see Star Trek in the darkest, no matter what Star Trek song you were. Star Trek film or show you were watching.
Well,
all right, later.
Okay, I gotta understand it. So I'm never allowed to watch any other Star Trek but Into Darkness.
Just Into Darkness.
So
yeah, then you might as well just have none.
Then none. Like if I can't, if I had to watch, a better way of asking that question, Jay, I'm not correcting your message, but the better way of asking that question would be like, would you eliminate all Star Trek if you had to watch Into the Darkness every day for the rest of your life? Like it had to be watch Into Darkness once every day for the rest of my life, or all Star Trek disappears. Even then, I think, but to that point, Joe, what's your favorite movie, Joe? Do you have a favorite movie?
Yes, I do.
What's your favorite movie?
I'll give you 3 guesses to guess my favorite movie.
I don't play.
No. You should know this.
Usual Suspects?
Nope.
I don't know your favorite.
You should fucking know this. Dude.
I don't know your favorite movie.
You know my favorite movie.
Give me a clue.
I can't.
Oh.
Any clue I tried to give you. Okay, I went and saw it with Katie in the movie theater not too long ago.
Not too long ago? Star Wars?
Nope. Come on, Phil.
No, tell me what your favorite. This isn't good radio. Tell me what your favorite fucking movie is.
As you wish, man.
Princess Bride. Of course, it's the fucking Princess Bride.
Dude.
You've said that multiple times. The Princess Bride.
Hands down.
Princess
best
Bride.
movie.
Okay, the Princess Bride. Could you watch the Princess Bride every day?
Yes.
Every day.
Yes.
Every day.
Yes.
Every single day
Yes.
for the rest of your life.
Yes.
I could not. I could not watch anything every day for the rest of my life. We talked about this with music.
Like, do I have to keep my eyes stared on?
Yes, you have to watch it for the rest of your life.
But
every
I watch TV
day.
with my phone in my hand, with my cock in my hand, with my what do you I can't focus that much on anything.
But no, you have to watch it every. I was saying this before when we were talking about music last week. It's hard to listen to the same band, even your favorite band, over and over and over again. Could you listen to the same Jane's Addiction song on loop constantly one day?
No, I guess you're right. I couldn't listen to.
You would lose your shit.
2-minute songs every day. A couple months is all I can get you. I could probably make it through. If we made a bet.
Yeah, bet. How many times?
I picked a period of time. I would do it one more time than that bet just to prove I could.
Fair, very fair. As Kyle says in the live chat, I could watch it every day and I would cry every time. Princess Bride.
Right? It's fucking it. You're right, Kyle. It is the perfect fucking movie. It's action. It's fantasy. It's comedy. It's drama. It's romance.
It's Fred fucking
all of it.
It's Wonder Years and Columbo together.
It's fucking everything. It's everything. It's such a good movie. It's literally my favorite movie of all time. It's got giants. It's got ROTATSs.
Rodents of unusual size.
Yes.
I don't know what my favorite
ROUSs.
I don't know what my favorite movie of all time would be. It would be a tough answer for me. It might be I can't.
Shrieking Eels of Death.
Star Trek movies are on that list. I think I would.
Cliffs of Insanity.
I think I would have to do
swashbuckling sword fights.
I think I would have to do the table, like who's sitting at the dinner table of favorite movies. And I couldn't pick one. There would be
pick one. You got one.
One favorite movie would probably be. I don't know.
You'd probably say Godfather.
It would be up there. It would definitely be up there. That's one of my sick movies.
I would have even for you said The Princess Bride or The Godfather.
Princess Bride would be up there too. Like sitting at that table would be Godfather 1 and 2 would be sitting in the same seat. They'd be sitting on top of each other. Princess Bride would be there for sure. Honestly, I have to.
Fight Club's at my table.
That's a good one sitting at the table too. I don't know if it would be on mine, but I would definitely allow that one. I don't know what Scorsese film would be there, but I'd have to pick one. There'd have to be a Scorsese film sitting there at that fucking table. There would have to be a Tarantino movie
Like
sitting
there
there
was
at
a
the
time
table.
in my life, Mannequin would have been at that table.
There would probably fuck you. There would have to be. Hollywood was the greatest character in American cinema. There
Hollywood was fucking so great, man.
there has
Paul
to be a
was
Hitchcock.
amazing in that movie.
For me, there has to be like a Hitchcock movie on that list.
Yeah.
There has to be. There's so
See,
many.
I know there are great directors and great films out there, like
Not your
like,
okay. Your
like Dog
favorite.
Day Afternoon is great, but
Are you
know,
talking
and-
best or are you talking favorite? It's different. Two different
like
conversations.
in his thing, you ask me best and favorite, it comes down.
We've
that's the
had this
Princess Bride.
we've had
That's
this
the Princess Bride right there.
But we've had that argument over the years of best versus favorite, and how we can talk about that.
Right, because I may
best.
think Idiocracy is my favorite movie of all time,
But it's not the best movie of all time.
It is not. And Idiocracy isn't. That just popped into my head.
Joe,
because-
Clue might be one of my favorite movies of all time, but it's not one of the greatest.
Jesus, that's a great fucking.
It's a
movie.
great movie, but
dude.
it's
History of the World Part 1.
great movie. All those movies are some of my favorites and would be in that conversation. But if I was making a list on the greatest movies of all time, for comedy, I would probably not the only one, but if I'm having to pick not one comedy, I don't have to. You can put as many as you want, but if I'm putting a comedy, there's probably Ghostbusters or something, like, because it works on multiple different levels and just works so crazy, or Caddyshack even in a weird way, or like some big.
Oh, Caddyshack is fucking awful. Objectively, it is awful.
Oh, I think it's a great movie, dude.
Everybody thinks it's a great movie, and I watched it again. I've seen it a dozen times. I don't know why.
You have
Because
some
every time I fucking watch it, I'm like, why do people fucking think this movie is
because it's
so good?
Because you can't think about it like a movie. It's more of a big SNL kind of sketch, kind of full.
And it's not even that. It's just like I don't know. But
do you
it's
find
not
Rodney
good.
Dangerfield funny?
Okay, Back to School was hilarious.
Great movie. So you think so let's move on here. So if you're judging your favorite Rodney Dangerfield movie, it's Back to School. Like no question. That's the only one where Rodney works for you 100%.
That's the only one that comes to mind right now. Then there's that other one, Ladybugs.
Ladybug's a great movie. Great fucking movie.
But those are like the only two films of his that really come to mind at the moment.
Joe, Jay says, it's awesome. Joe, my top 5 favorite movies are: number 1, Deadpool; number 2,
That's probably one of mine too. Lego Movie was really good, dude.
number 2, Kill Bill; Gravity; Lego Movie; The Avengers. The only one I'd argue on your list, not argue on your list, I didn't love Gravity. That was of all your movies. Like, I like all the movies on your list.
Jennifer Lawrence and what's
no,
his name?
Gravity was the it was the space one with
Jennifer Lawrence.
No, Sandra Bullock, I believe.
Oh, right, and
or is he talking about
Ocean 11?
Or is he talking about the Matthew McConaughey space movie? Which one of those is Gravity? Like, there 2 space movies came out around the same time, and I forget which one's Gravity. But both of those I didn't feel as much.
And I don't think I've seen Gravity. The Avengers, it's a good movie, but doesn't even come close to a top 50 in my book. Deadpool is fucking awesome. That's probably a top 5 superhero movie for me. The Lego Movie is really fucking good too.
It's a great time.
But the Kill Bills, honestly, as much as I love them, right? Hanzo Hattori hat on my wall back here somewhere. As much as I love the Kill Bill movies, and they are not great movies. They're kind of slow. There's so many things wrong with them.
He specifically has
yada yada. But the aspects of them that are like nobody caught that the pimp was the same person as the sheriff playing 2 different roles for fucking ever.
Okay, it is the Sandra Bullock and George Clooney movie. Okay, I did see that.
Clooney.
I saw that on airplane. Good movie. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but decent movie.
I haven't seen it.
Jay says,
I did see that one. Oh, that had like a ridiculous moment where they were like flying back to the ship, or she like jumped out to catch him or some shit. Yeah. She's falling into gravity or something.
It's Gravity, Joe. It's Gravity.
Yeah.
Okay, so to go on.
There was some things about that movie that wasn't a bad movie, but it was, no.
The Martian was good, says Jen.
I don't know. You got some pretty suspect movie list there.
Jen also.
That's gonna listen to voicemail.
Jen, yeah, that's definitely gonna listen to voicemail.
I'm kidding. It's a good list.
Jen also says my partner won't even watch it, and maybe we'll do that next week or the week after or something. We'll do we'll do it next week, and then we'll come back the final week of Picard and talk about the final 2 episodes of Picard. But next week, Joe and I will talk about our top 5 favorite movies.
Ooh.
Make a list, Joe. Your top 5 favorite movies next week.
Okay.
So Kyle says favorite, not best. Or no, you want to do best or favorite?
Favorite, because doing best is also part of favorite. Because
right. Let's just do favorite.
If you prefer dramas over action, you're doing a favoritism there, right? If you prefer martial arts movies over, like, so I think we should probably
do
like
we'll get more
favorite in each genre.
You want to do pick our favorite drama, action. You and I will go over this off the air, but yeah, action, comedy, drama, sports movie, and action, superhero.
Comedy, drama.
No, we'll talk about
rom-com get its own.
Maybe we'll do 10. Joe,
we're gonna have like 10 categories here.
Joe,
there's so many best documentary.
Joe, that let's talk about this. Let's figure this out off air. But yes, absolutely.
Why don't we let them pick the 5 categories?
Nominate our 5 categories in the live chat right now. If you guys that are with us
work
tonight,
it out amongst yourselves, and by the end of the show, let us know.
And if not, we'll pick them.
We're gonna burn the internet down with that.
That's why, Joe, I think as much as the categories are best, no, as much I do want to hear what the audience has to say, but no, let's just do our top 5 favorites.
Okay, top 5 favorites.
Top 5 favorites.
Top 5 favorites it is.
And we can even.
Oh, this is so difficult.
Then make 10.
Didn't we do this show already?
No, we didn't. Then make 10. Make 10.
Oh,
5 to 10. 5 to 10. Somewhere in the middle. 5 to 10. We'll say top 5, but try to list a few more. Here we go.
Like, that's difficult.
Okay, now quiet your mind. We still have Star Trek to talk about. Here is Jay.
You know how many movies I've seen, dude?
The problem is Star Trek is a business, and yeah, I know. I said Star Wars twice in my other message. Whatever. But Star Trek...
We'll play your message in a second. Jen says definitely by genre. Action and superhero coincide. Okay, so you guys in the live chat, Jen, Jay...
And rom-com and comedy coincide. But
maybe it might be more than 5, Joe. Like we don't have to stick to 5. So
no.
If Kyle, Jen, Jay, who are the people who are with us right now. If anyone else is in the live chat right now, Daniel's in there too. Kitty, Turkish is in there. If everyone wants to nominate a bunch of categories, let us know right now. I'll write them down, and Joe and I will pick in the genre. Because as much as I like to be right, you guys in the chat and Joe are right. We should probably stick to genre. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for Joe and I.
Yeah.
So if we pick just like our favorite Western, our favorite horror movie, our favorite this, our favorite that, it'll probably be better. And if people miss some, we'll figure it out, Joe.
Because there's no way I ever pick a horror movie, right?
But your favorite horror movie would be an interesting pick.
Correct.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Who's gonna put a rom-com on like their favorite movie of all time? But I'm sorry, I made my parents rent Mannequin like 30 fucking times.
Oh no, I already know what my rom-com is. So let's get into it, Jay.
The problem is Star Trek is a business, and yeah, I know. I said Star Wars twice in my other message. Whatever. But Star Trek is like more than just a thing you love or whatever. It's a franchise, which makes it a business. And if you have it that way, then it could
you have to protect it.
It could potentially jeopardize the business as a whole for that one thing. You could get Tarantino could have that one great movie,
pausing for a second.
And then that could detract from.
Joe, go.
So I think what he's about to say. Let him play it for another second.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, Tarantino could have that one great movie, and then that could detract from other things of Star Wars going forward, because
Correct.
now maybe people want to see that franchise go even further and further, and it basically could
Sours
end
the
up
view.
like ruining a franchise.
Right, because here's the thing: you take Tarantino and he makes a smash hit fucking movie. Right, it is the best Star Trek movie ever, or just mediocre, either way. Right, and it brings in thousands of fans, hundreds of thousands, millions of fans. Right, but they don't like any of the other Star Trek shit. It doesn't help Star Trek. Okay, maybe it opens their eyes to it, but however, if it's a movie that could also turn a lot of people off that have been Star Trek fans for a long time.
And you haven't done that with Discovery?
But moving forward, or Voyager or Enterprise, right? But moving
Voyager
forward,
was very, but like more.
But moving forward from there, you have those people that say, "Yeah, I saw it because it was Tarantino, and that's it," and they're not interested in anything else Star Wars. So you're doing your franchise, your business, Star Trek. Thank you. You're doing your business and franchise a little bit of a disservice by allowing, and that's what I think they were thinking. Now, as a fan, like I said, I want it.
Right. It's one of those things that it's like you get a once in a lifetime sort of situation where it's like make this happen because I just want to see it because it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know, like that. That's how I feel about it. Okay, everyone, it's about that time. Let's just get into this. I got too many dogs here to jump around like an idiot right now. They'll get all riled up, and and they've been so calm through this podcast. I'm not trying to get these dogs riled up. Next week, I'll jump around and find an excuse for a super recap. Betray King. Great to see Betray King in the live chat right now. Thank you, everyone that's in the live chat. If you haven't already, all of you guys, please hit that like button and please subscribe if you haven't already, and help share this out to even more people. As Joe looks like sounds like a lot of shit's going on over there. I don't know.
Getting a beer.
It happened. Okay. But that was a good reason. To your beer, I will pour a shot. Yes, this is some Voyager shade, and Joe and I don't mean to throw the shade to Voyager, but it is good to talk some stuff.
I do. I'm sorry.
Let's not.
I thought it was the worst of all the Star Treks until Enterprise.
I agree with you. I do think Voyager, in my opinion, especially going back and watching it a couple times, I think Voyager
has its bright spots.
Voyager has good episodes, but as a whole, it's wasted talent. Like you could have done more with the concept of it and kept the Maquis and the Federation away from each other for the first 2 seasons, and then have them come together. It would have been a bigger deal. There was an idea that was on the table to turn one of the best episodes called Year of Hell, was the one with Red Foreman, into a whole season where he's just messing up everything, and they decided to just do a 2-part episode, or maybe it was a 3-parter. But either way, there was a lot of opportunities to do interesting stuff. I think the cast is good. They have great chemistry. And I think, to bring this back into Picard, Joe, I think whoever is facing off against this cast right now is really fucked, because you have two of the can get everything done in 1 minute characters right now, with 7 of 9 and Data on the same ship right now. Is there anything they can't do? And
what's this? What? I want to get this straight. Picard,
Captain, Ambassador Picard at this point, right? No, not Ambassador.
No, Admiral.
Admiral Picard.
Ex-Admiral, retired Admiral Picard.
That's his name, Joe.
Is dead.
No.
What is the body?
The body? He is not dead.
What is the body laying on the table?
That is an empty vessel of Picard's former body. He has been completely migrated over to the android golem.
So he is a fucking Data. Why did they just plug his ass in?
Because he's programmed to just be a human.
Oh, bullshit. Unprogrammed. Jordy fucking unlocked it.
Joe.
Unlock it. It's the same as fucking Data. You're doing all this shit to the new and improved Data fucking body. You could do it to the Picard body.
Joe, I want to disagree with you, but I thought the same fucking thing. I'm like,
what the fuck?
I'm like, what the fuck? If Data can't do it when they said the line like, we need to computate it, blah blah blah.
I was waiting for them to plug fucking Picard.
And Picard gets this look in his face like I'm positronic too. Mm-hmm.
Right? What? Isn't he?
But
or is he negatronic?
he might be negativatronic and a little bit different. Scout Teeny, the real Teeny. Is in the live chat. Hello, everyone. Still not sure why Daystrom would hold Picard's corpse to begin with.
Corpse, right?
And
because they wanted to cut out the disease and play with it.
And Kirk's corpse as well. If people didn't notice, Kirk's corpse was there as well. Jen Hack says, Voyager I love, but ended softly. Great ideas that could have been pulled for new stuff. And that's how I know that Voyager has a lot of fans, and I think there's some really great episodes of Voyager, and I do generally like the cast. I just think as a whole, it missed a central narrative and a consistency that went through Next Generation and then an ongoing storyline that was in Deep Space Nine. And I'm okay with Deep Space Nine being the outlier. But as time went on and you get into Enterprise and Discovery and Picard Season 1 and 2, Voyager looks a lot better in retrospect. It's just, it was too similar to early Next Generation at times. And you're too connected to that, but watching back, and if you're not watching Next Generation Voyager at the same time, it can be okay.
Voyager should have come when they made Enterprise. That's when Voyager should have.
Yeah, they
never should have made Enterprise.
They never should have gone back. I agree with you. The biggest mistake that the Star Trek world made, and what is great about Star Trek Picard in general, but specifically this season, it's the first time I feel like we're finally getting to the future past Nemesis and past post-Voyager. This is the first time and I know the first two seasons of Picard technically were, but it didn't feel like that. This really feels like we're finally progressing forward.
The first season felt like that too. But
I'm doing
the second season I didn't even watch because I wasn't interested in it.
Because the first season ended so bad. What I'm doing, Joe, and thank you for calling me out on it because it's true. I'm doing reverse Phantom Menacing. Because I did like the first half of Picard Season 1. And in full disclosure, I like the first 2 or 3 episodes of Picard Season 2 as well, but it ended up in a fucking dumpster fire in both situations.
It's a Q episode. I mean, I love the character, I love the actor Q, but like, you took a whole season to have a fucking dream. Every Q episode is essentially a fucking dream.
Joe,
everything's back to normal.
And Joe, that is the biggest problem with a season like that, because every season on Picard is like one episode stretched out from the old school Next Generation. Even this season could have been a good 2-parter in the old Next Generation.
Yeah, it would have been. It really would have been.
It would maybe a 3-parter. Maybe a 3-part. They did have a few 3-parters.
The Stranger Things upside down red door shit is getting to me.
We'll get to that in a minute, Joe. I'm curious. We got Luna in there. We got Fandom D Saint. We got all of our friends coming over probably from Teflon TV. Thank you guys for popping on over. Really do appreciate that. I appreciate Tony for sending you guys my way. Seth MacFarlane got a cameo in Enterprise, which led to a lot of that. So let's get into this episode, Joe. Stop me at any time as we go. Captain Vadic. And this recap is by trekmovie.com because I didn't take it myself because it's a couple days after the episode does. So why don't I just save taking notes, Joe? Watch the episode more.
Hey, you give credit what credit is due.
I'm giving it. trekmovie.com.
And all he's doing is it's bullet pointing the fucking script, basically.
But, Joe, we also... What's this we have? Can you hear this? We also have the episode in the background too.
Oh,
so we can hear. Sorry, that was bad. Okay, so we got Jen Hack. I like Enterprise. I need an orange. Enterprise was good by the end, but it was too little, too late because
Enterprise was not. I
like the end.
I'm not even going to talk about Enterprise because I couldn't watch. I like Scott Bakula, but. This was a horrible show. They should have made it. They should have made it like Enterprise really should have been like 2 years after Zephyr. Really, it should have gone back that far.
I don't think prequels work. unless you're Better Call Saul. Like I just don't like prequels. Why do prequels?
Well, this
name me prequel. Name me
if
prequel.
they had made it the start of the Federation.
Name me
not like
Joe. Name me prequels that have worked besides Better Call Saul and Godfather 2.
Prequels that have worked
besides Better Call Saul and Godfather 2, which is a high fucking bar. You're talking about Vince Gilligan and The Godfather. They don't.
I'd have to think about it for a few.
None
are really coming to mind to begin
Red
with.
Hot American Summer on Netflix kind of worked.
Oh yeah, Red Hot American Summer was fantastic.
The prequel series that they did for that one, or was it a sequel? Whatever they did, I think it was a prequel. It worked. That worked.
That's a great show. And
Betray King says Revenge of the Sith. Okay, if you think the Star Wars ones work, I guess that's your argument. I'd argue that
I can't say.
I'd argue that they don't quite work, even though there's some good scenes mixed in. But I think my point is prequels are hard to fucking do, and I think Star Trek should always have gone forward. I don't mind the rebooty kind of stuff with the JJ stuff. That's fine. Like redo Kirk and Spock a million times. I'm fine with that. But prequel stuff to me, like going before, just, I don't know, doesn't work necessarily. Star Trek should always push forward. I enjoyed Discovery's first 2 seasons. I enjoyed Discovery for what it was, Luna. This isn't going to be a Discovery hate. I think Joe and I both enjoy elements of Discovery. My problem with Discovery is me being very stupid with my perspective and saying it doesn't feel very Star Trek-y to me. It feels like something completely different, which is fine, but I still wanted, there's no problem to have, and this is kind of my point with Quentin Tarantino stuff, but more talking about why I like Star Trek now. If you let Legacy happen and you let this other guy work on it too with the Alex Kurtzman, have your Discovery shit as long as I can get a couple of seasons of stuff like this. I don't want to have to go to Orville to get this. There should have always been a Star Trek series like this and a Star Trek series like Discovery that pushes and does try something different. That's fine. People that like Discovery, I kind of like it too at times, but it doesn't feel like I'm watching my stupid Star Trek, and there's still an audience for that. It's not like it's a forgotten audience and all the people that like 90s Trek are dead and buried. There's an audience of people that like that kind of shit that was just burned out by it after Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, and the movies all overlapping to the point where you burned out an audience of it. But you wait a few years if that's why people are excited for it again, because you burned out the audience, Joe. You had so many years of consistent Trek in that 90s Trek that it was, again, I do the band thing. It's like you just put out the hits until people are just like, I can't stand it anymore. It's like they were the Monkees or something. Like it's just people are just, I'm done. I can't deal with the fucking Monkees anymore. I enjoyed Discovery. Strange New Worlds season 2. I'm excited for Strange New Worlds. I do not hate it. Joe, here's a voicemail from the voice at 916.
Ooh.
Hello, Phil. This is the voice at 916. Hi, Joe. Phil, you know I must be a super fan of yours. I binged Picard.
Yes.
I binged it yesterday. I had originally started watching seasons 1 up until about the 4th episode, and I was like, oh my God, I can't do it. But season 3 was better. Episodes were hit and miss, but it was what it was.
It's Star
But I just thought I'd let you know that I binged for you, baby.
Oh.
I binged for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Care.
And I know it's difficult.
Just don't purge. No purging.
No purge. Thank you so much, and I appreciate it. And I know some people are popping on in here that probably haven't watched it, and we always bounce around talking about new shows, and that's why we don't always have the craziest, like so many people in the live chat, because we do talk about random shows, Joe, and YouTube. YouTube these days likes consistency. Like if we just talked about The Walking Dead for the rest of our lives and Better Call Saul and Game of Thrones, we probably get higher view count. But because we try different shows and we go random and shit sometimes, it's YouTube doesn't know what to do with us. They don't know what to fucking do with us. But that's fine. That's fine. Fuck them. So let's continue here because we want to talk about Picard. Next week we're going to be talking about our top 10 favorite movies, our top 5 favorite movies in different genres, and we'll get into that next week and get into your thoughts as well. Get the voicemails in all the way in for next week. Hey, we got Fernandez motherfucking T in the live chat as well. So Joe, the Captain Vadic makes herself comfortable as she shuts down the systems and dispatches soldiers to hunt Jack across the USS Titan. Jack Crusher gets his first look in the changeling brutality as he casts his mind into random crew members who will fall into the trap. So you don't like Jack Crusher? To me, he's okay. I'm not having any problems with Crusher and how they're doing it. So let's get into this right at the beginning before
it's just weird, the whole English accent thing.
What's going on with them? What do you think is...
I have no idea. I don't care.
You don't care.
I'm kind of bored with it.
Do you think? Okay, I want to talk about this actually. So let me.
Like it's like what's going on with?
Do you think it's the Borg? Do you think it's Borg tech that was in their aromatic syndrome that they're stealing? That they get? He's not a changeling. There's something inside his head. Is it species 0001? There's a couple of hints where she says at one part of the episode when Seven's there, she goes, "It's awesome that," or something. It's that you're here to witness this to 7 of 9, and that made me think it's the Borg or
the Borg left nanite sperm in Picard's balls.
Something like that. That's connecting to him. But
kid.
The problem.
So they chose like a 90-year-old to that would never be actually like.
No, it doesn't matter. It was just stuck in there from when he was Locutus.
Yeah, no, that's just weird.
Or it's something. So what do you think's behind the door?
But probably, I don't know.
Do you think it's the Borg?
It's the Upside Down, dude.
In fairness, Joe, to say the Borg was last season. I couldn't see them doing 2 seasons in a row. The Borg. So it could probably be something else, right?
And it wasn't even the Borg last season. That was fake. It was a dream. It was a Q episode. Meant nothing. Meant nothing.
You taking Cash App? PayPal told me to kick rocks, Fernandez T. Fuck that shit. I do have Venmo, Fernandez T, and the PayPal thing. Make sure. Let me give the right email just in case. I'm not sure if you got that at Yahoo. Thank you, Fernandez T. I appreciate that more than you know, buddy. Maybe try that email. If I do not have Cash App, but I probably should get it. I do have Venmo. I think it's the Issues Guy, if you have that one. But I do appreciate the super chats, Fernandez T. You are the best, and we appreciate. Tony and I cannot say thanks enough to all the support you give us to help us keep doing what we're doing. But yeah, so Jay left us a message here. Let's see what we got wrong, Joe.
Hey, different hypothetical what if. Star Trek.
He got cut off for a second. Let's see.
Or it still exists, and every time you watched it, you could watch whatever you wanted, and it would play the right thing, but in your mind, you would be like, it's like time would stop for you, and your mind would just play the entire movie of Star Trek in the Darkness.
Oh, no.
Anytime, right before you watched anything of Star Trek.
Oh, no.
But you would still be able to go on and still watch whatever thing you wanted to watch. You would just see it, but it would be like in an instant or whatever. But you would see every single picture and every single line.
Jesus Christ.
All of that would just be in your head.
Oh, no.
What would you rather? All right, later.
Okay. I would probably, and as much as I don't love Star Trek Into the Darkness, it's not even about that movie. If any movie, even my favorite movie, if I had to deal with that every single fucking day, I couldn't deal with it. Star Trek has to die. I couldn't do it, Joe. I couldn't deal with the same thing every day, even though I do listen and watch some of the same things every day, but not every single day. At a certain point, I'd have to stop. I just couldn't deal with it. So yeah, panspermia locutus style. That's what I'm thinking. It makes sense. The hints that we have, and I know Joe doesn't give a flying fuck, but the hints that we have, Joe's just here for the member berries, really. He doesn't care about the overall plot of this season, right? Is that basically what
it could have ended right there. It could have ended right there as far as I was concerned.
But don't you like that this season, or I like that this season, doesn't, every episode might leave on a cliffhanger to make you wonder, but they they end later than I think they're going to end. Like, I didn't expect...
The round table?
Yeah, we actually got the round table in this past episode, and that was really good. You know, they could have put that off for another episode, but we got the payoff at the end of the episode. And I don't mind the cliffhanger into the next one because they actually paid this off. They blew up the ship. And is there any way that the Vadic person isn't coming back?
I doubt it.
She got blown up like T2.
She got frozen, shattered, and then burned up.
She's still coming back, Joe.
Of course she is.
Like, she shattered like T2. T2 comes back. She comes back.
It only takes a drop.
It is, exactly. The Changeling can get announce themselves. So the Vadic announces she's going to start killing the bridge crew if Jack doesn't show up. Shaw dresses up as... Okay, so do you like Shaw? Do you like the character of Shaw?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. He's a refreshing Star Trek character. He's more like a McCoy. He doesn't give a fuck. He's a wonderful asshole, Joe.
He's been in a lot of shit too.
Do you think that character could carry a series?
No.
A lot of people want him to get his own series. I tend to agree with you. I hope they stay with the Legacy series. If it's a series with him and Jerry Ryan playing 7 of 9, and I got to give credit. I'm not the biggest Voyager fan, but I love everything they've done with 7 of 9 this season. She had a great episode. Did you say meh?
I said same.
Same. Okay, same. Yeah. She's an excellent actress, and it's great to see her in this part. And when she says fire at the end, I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but it was, I don't know. I'm really feeling Jerry Ryan this season, which I did not feel her in the first, when she was on Picard earlier. I feel like they didn't know what to do with her character. This actually feels like 7. She's trying to find new family, new connections. And I like her dynamic with Shaw. I think it makes one of the best vibes of the entire show. We got Steph Snow in the live chat. Thank you, Steph Snow. Betrayed a vicious tribble, though. Could have been from the From creatures. It could have been one of the From creatures. The Changeling Captains makes a show for who gets to die first and then switches targets at the last minute. And 7 to announce the entire ship. She just executes. The execution scene, you say no one dies in Star Trek, Joe. Someone died in this episode. We got some deaths. Like, we got some stakes, feeling like there were some stakes. But I didn't feel like any of our main characters were in danger. The clock is reset to 10 minutes. We talked about a lot of this episode, so I'm going to yada through a lot of this. The Gambit's going to wait. We see a lot of the lead up as they need to stall for time till Chekhov's Data comes into play, Joe. Was there any doubt through the episode that Data was going to save the day? This was a total... You mentioned this earlier. Joe's trope of the day, Data taking over the ship, did that bother you in this episode, Joe?
No, because you know it's Star Trek. You know what you're getting. There's nothing new about any of this shit.
It's in a sense you're watching. Okay, so in Star Trek you don't mind it as much because you just accept that everyone knows you're dealing with.
It's Star Trek, dude.
Character types.
Yeah.
So why does it?
I've been watching it for so long. You know, it's one of those things. You know, I was 15 or some shit when it started.
Yep.
Like 1990.
Something like that.
Like, it's one of the programs that helped me realize how bad TV is, even though I still loved the show.
Yeah. Oh, we got Luna who donated our super chat donation. Do you think prequels are Hollywood laziness without developing original material? Yes. I think
at times.
But I think more reboots. I think it's banking on properties that have already shown success. So instead of gambling on new IPs, unless you're dealing with like a director like Christopher Nolan, for instance.
Super fans.
You deal with just remaking something else.
Well, there's also super fans like Quentin Tarantino who wants to do something, right? And he wants to make it in the past, right? But
that's different. That's Quentin Tarantino doing a new Star Trek project. That's not remaking the original Star Trek with a new Kirk and Spock for a new generation.
Well, no. That's one would be a prequel, and one would be a reboot,
a sequel.
But the thing is I think there's some artists out there directors, writers, actors who want to do these things because they are such big fans of the original materials.
Fair, but I think there's an inherent difference than that between that
Most of the time.
and New Line Cinema making a new
Batman
new Nightmare
again and again, a Batman movie again and again and again.
Again, different argument. Batman's
telling the origin story again and again and again. Oh, but we don't know Batman's origin. We haven't learned it from the TV series, the Burton series. In every single fucking movie they put out, they have to go over the fucking origin.
Come on, we might
come on now.
We need to learn more about what happens.
Come on now.
We got Luna. Do you think it's laziness? Yes, absolutely. Betrayed
most of the time.
Betrayed, especially with the prequel, with the reboot situation. It's gambling.
Like the prequel isn't laziness with Better Call Saul.
No, but in a sense, AMC greenlit it because they knew it was in the Breaking Bad universe, so they knew they had a fan base that would come in. It's not about the way they made it, but I think in some cases, studios, I'm talking more about the studios, gamble on reboot projects when they're based around fan bases or franchises that already have built-in fan bases. So, Betrayed King, so I do think it's lazy for not gambling on new properties. I feel like, and this is going to be back in my day, that I feel like in the 90s they had a better balance. You did see some remakes where you saw like something like Cape Fear come out, which was a remake from an earlier movie, but you push the idea that you always had to get something new. And even though there's only 5 stories, I still think I prefer gambling on new IPs, but I'm also not spending the money on it. So it's easy for me to say. Okay, Betrayed King says, Vadic ain't driving the invasion. She's only extracting crew for Jack. The changelings are unrelenting. They drove the Dominion War, and they once they commit an invasion, it's on. I don't fucking know. And I agree. I don't think the Vadic or whatever her name is the main baddie. I think the changeling as a whole is the main baddie. Yes, Joe?
Dune.
Oh, someone asked us that question earlier. Do you prefer the first Dune or the second Dune?
This is right into that question.
And the answer, someone asked it earlier, and I skipped over it.
And that's the reboot, right? And that's a straight up reboot of it.
But that was like making a better version.
It's a novel to start, and well, that's debatable because people who like Dune.
No, I like the Lynch version, but it's different. I like the newer version. But personally, to me, I like the new version better, but I do like the original too.
But is that laziness, or is that new fans of the source material, the book, being like, and I liked the original movie, I saw it when I was a kid, but I think I can do it much better. I think I can tell a version of it that is going to appeal to more people.
You're picking...
So it's not always a laziness thing.
I agree, but you are picking a kernel of corn out of some poop here. And picking like one of the best examples of when it was actually making a arguably better movie and representation of the novel, where what Lynch did was more of a Lynch movie using the novel as a backdrop for his story he wanted to tell. It would be like if Stephen King wanted to really come back and do The Shining, where Shining turned into a Kubrick movie. I love the movie. Stephen King hates the movie because he feels like it's not a representation of his book.
No, I read the Dune movie. I read the Dune book, and the first movie is a very good representation of that.
I don't feel like it does as good of a job as I've also listened to the audiobook, not read the book, but I listened to the audiobook. And I feel like I agree, it does okay, but it's still a David Lynch movie, and I feel like the second movie does a better job at representing the book. Personally, we can disagree. We can do let's do a whole show on that. We could do it, but I feel like I'm a little bit on the opposite side of that. But I think both movies are great. We're saying the same thing. You like both movies, correct?
Oh yes,
me too. I think both movies are great representations. Is Joe gonna watch From? Side question. I'm trying to get Joe to watch From. It's free right now on MGM Plus. We're trying to get him to watch at least the first episode, and if he likes it, binge it and do a review with me every week. I'm going to be doing a pre-show with Tony, and I'd love to do an after-show kind of thing with Joe, or by myself, either way, with Tony popping in sometimes. I'm not going to force Joe to like a show. Last time I tried this, it was the Westworld debacle of 2017. I don't want to go through that again. So I'm going to tell Joe, please watch the first episode of From sometime in the next couple of weeks before the new season starts. And if you like the series, binge it. If you don't, you don't. It's free right now on MGM Plus. And if you want to watch it with me, definitely do. If not, we'll catch up with Joe. And in fairness, even if Joe doesn't watch it, it doesn't mean I can't have him on the podcast and he can just rag on my perspective. That works as well. So
I'll check it out. I'll check out this From.
No, I don't want to say this. I think you're going to hate it. I don't think you're going to like it. It's horrible. You're going to hate it. I love it. You're going to hate it. You're going to shit on it. The poop is going to be on the floor. I actually think he's going to like it. No, you're going to fucking hate it. You're going to, it's horrible. No, he's going to horror. He's shitty. We're going to have to Joe rant this shit.
We'll see.
Let's tie Joe down and force him to watch From. Reboot Dune. Directors want to tell their vision of the source material. Rings of Power is another one. Joe Dirtylux, what'd you think of the kinder, gentler Picard and Worf in season 3?
I love Worf in this. He's fucking hilarious. And he was a big part of like comedy relief. Him and Data both. They were the comedy relief in most of the, just his ardent fucking like, let's cut their heads off, Captain.
Yeah, Joe, how good was that? How good was that line? Joe, I thought many times I wanted to send you a severed head, but I
send you all the severed heads of my enemies.
But someone told me
I was told it was passive aggressive.
I love it. I love it, Worf.
Don't do it, Worf. They're gonna take that the wrong way.
It was so.
They're gonna communicate a long distance, long distance communicate. What did I do wrong to you, Worf? Why are you sending me? Oh no, it's a form of respect.
I'm sorry, sir. I don't know what to tell you. I can't. And in fairness, Joe, I know you're not, and I know you like to give me shit sometimes, or whatever. I know you're not. I know you're a Babylon 5 fan. You're not you like Deep Space Nine, but you're not a crazy Deep Space Nine fan to me. Which series do you believe handled Worf better? Or do you feel like he was the same character on both shows? I feel like, and I'll preface.
I feel like Worf did a great job maintaining Worf.
He did, but I feel like Deep Space Nine took him more serious. And Next Generation, he was always a comic foil. Look at the silly Klingon. And they did have some episodes that focused on him and got into Klingon lore, but Deep Space Nine took that and went to fucking 11 on that. It really pushed the seriousness of the Klingon thing.
The thing about moving Worf over to Deep Space Nine was it allowed for more focus on Worf. By the time Generation ends, like there's plenty of episodes that are character focused. They're going to focus on Worf and his kid, or Geordi and his eyes, or some shit, right? But like 20 episodes a season.
Yeah,
but
24, 26, 22 or something, like a lot of fucking episodes.
But it's I think because the story that they had with Deep Space Nine being more linear or serial than episodic, right, is where they allowed for more
texture of going in on there. I just want to jump into what Betrayed King said in the live chat, because it's a good point to my point that this isn't the same universe as Discovery. They didn't give Worf a Klingon makeover. He's real Worf. He's the old school Klingon. They actually made him an old school Klingon. So they didn't redo him. So let's listen to a little bit of Data in lore.
He's hoping you will overpower me so they can gain control of their...
Joe, we're going to jump ahead a little bit here to this scene. I thought this was done so well. I know people can think Spiner's over the top with his comedy and is playing multiple characters, but listen to the voice difference between the two characters. It just works so well.
Reminiscing, are we? Scanning through your meaningless memorabilia? In my mind, you would find mightier things.
I love Lore as a character, and I want to do a Data Lore video
Conquests
for
and
Centovia Major.
ruling the universe.
Joe, a lot of people try this, but I feel like for my money, the two best people at doing this kind of shit are Eddie Murphy and Brent Spiner. Like playing multiple characters of themselves, talking to themselves. I feel like Eddie Murphy and Brent Spiner are the two best in history.
And that guy on TikTok, YouTube, whatever the fuck he is, that does the back and forth pitching of movies.
Oh yeah, that dude. Yeah, that dude's great. That dude's great. I know.
He does that fucking awesome.
I know exactly who you're talking about. And that dude's great.
And then what if we have the guy? Oh, but what happens if? Yeah. Back and forth. That's fucking great.
But Spiner does an excellent job playing all these characters, and it's not too much in this episode, which is something I love. And I know you say it was predictable, Joe, but I do feel like this was still depicted really, really well.
Yeah, it was done for the first time without actually having them fight.
Jen Hack, I want to get into this point. I love this series. I'm very much feeling Picard season 3. Even though it's not perfect, we can pick it apart, and we have tonight a little bit. But I love it. But it has been Next Generation Voyager centric. Even though they're basically, because Janeway's showing up. They've mentioned her 3 fucking times. I will be very surprised if Kate Mulgrove doesn't show up as Janeway at the end of this fucking season.
Me too.
And they had Tuvok show up, and they've had many mentions of 7 and 9 talking about her Voyager past.
And being so adamant that they use 7 of 9.
Exactly. So we've had all of that. Deep Space Nine has been forgotten about. We haven't had a Section 31 sort of thing. But to this point, as much as I want the Cisco, Avery Brooks is pretty much retired from acting. As much as Odo got a mention, it was great to see.
Dead.
Unfortunately, the actor has passed.
Rene Auberjonois.
Kira wouldn't make sense. The only 2 characters that would possibly make sense are Chief O'Brien and Bashir. O'Brien, as much as it would be great to see him, I know the actor is not semi-retired, but he only acts within the country he's living in right now, so it would probably have to be an on-screen appearance, like through.
No, he would travel for.
He might. So the 2 that you got to hope for, him or the one I think we might see is Julian. I think if you're.
And we got Tasha Yar.
If you see, we did see her in the little picture thing. Yeah, we did, Joe. That counts. But if we see anyone from Deep Space Nine, it might be Bashir as Section 31 stuff. But I doubt it. I think you'll see that more in Legacy. I think you will see Deep Space Nine characters. The problem is Deep Space Nine is such.
I think they're going to Deep Space Nine.
I would love to see that, Joe, but I don't think so. I think
they gotta get to the Delta Quadrant so they can find out what's going on. Oh no, because the.
No, the Delta Quadrant was the Voyager Quadrant. It's the not the Alpha Quadrant. No, maybe you're right. Maybe it is that. I forget what it is.
It's the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah. Betray King, Lore and Data were brilliant in this episode. They really were. Everyone was brilliant in this episode. I really like this episode. So, I missed the Riker and Worf stuff, but they were great. As I like Deanna in this episode. I think she seemed like more of a real person in this episode, Joe.
I wanted her to turn around to fucking the little Crusher kid there and be like, "Listen, dude, we're gonna get into this. We're gonna find out what's going on." And he's like, I don't really open up to anybody. I want her to be like, "Listen, I'll be gentle," and he's like, "I don't know." And I want her to say, "Listen, kid, it's a lot fucking better on you than a Vulcan mind meld now. Fucking give me your hands."
And I said this earlier, but with now a 7 of 9 and Data on the ship, we only need T'Pol to show up, and we have all the in Spock, and we have all the Deus Machina kind of characters going on. It was the Gamma Quadrant. In Deep Space Nine. Gamma Quadrant. I think what you're thinking. I think the quadrant that you mentioned was the Voyager one, where they're stuck in. Yeah. So we get let's see a little bit more Data and Lore.
I hope you'd see it that way.
Joe, When I lost it,
damn it.
I knew Data was gonna overcome him eventually. But when I really lost it was when he pulled out Spot. I couldn't help it. When the cat came out, Joe, they got right to my emotions, and I got tear. I don't know what it says about me. I'm also someone that I think I cry a little easier than you, Joe. I've been crying this whole season. Like the nostalgic feeling of these characters together.
Not one tear at all has shed from my face.
I've been an emotional basket case, Joe. I've been
There's nothing emotional in this show.
It's emotional.
No, I can understand you teared up when fucking little kitty came out. When talked about Spot, but that's about it. There's nothing else emotional in this whole fucking season.
You don't find when people, if you and I didn't see each other for 7 years, and we finally reunited, wouldn't it be emotional?
I mean, I'd have a heart on, but like
No. That was funny, but very, very funny. Realistically, seriously, if we didn't see each other for 7 years or something, or 10 years or whatever, and we finally saw each other, wouldn't it be emotional? So, and the answer is yes.
I don't know if it's tears emotional. Like, it's been a few years since I see Nick at times, but like, tear emotional? I don't know. No, not really.
Oh, you're such an ass. You're such a cold-hearted prick. You're such a cold. If you didn't see me for 10 years, you'd miss me. You'd miss me.
If I didn't see you for 7 years,
you miss me.
I'd be fine, unless like some music started playing and like the keyboard started.
Joe,
and some sappy
I've
fucking
seen
violin song started playing in the background.
Joe,
That's what gets my tears going in these shows.
Joe, I've seen you drunk eating a salad, some
tossing a salad.
No. I was just. You sometimes put mushrooms in your salad. I've seen you eat salads and drinking, and you feel. And you've definitely got even emotional in those moments. At my stupid. Sorry to talk about it because I'm not getting in my debunk wedding. You got emotional. You would fucking cry if you didn't see me for.
When did I get emotional at your wedding?
When you gave your speech, you were very emotional.
Oh.
You were emotional. You fuck. You're way more emotional than you want to give out on this podcast.
I don't. Yeah, I emote two things. I emote nothing in anger.
If you didn't see on this podcast, maybe if you didn't see me for 10 years or 7 to 10 years, you would get emotional when you saw me, and I'm feeling that emotion through the screen. Worf's eyebrows.
Star Trek has never once in my life ever made me cry.
Not
any episode of
Joe,
any...
what media has any movie or television show made you consistently cry?
Dude, 3 seasons of Ted Lasso. I'm fucking tearing up almost every fucking time. Are you kidding me? I told you there was
Did you cry at the don't talk too much about Ted Lasso because I haven't watched it yet and I mean to. Did you cry at The Shrinking?
No.
You can cry at that. Do you cry at what are some things? Did you cry at I don't know. I'm curious. I cry at a lot of things.
I cry at a lot of things. Dude, I am a sap. I am an absolute sap.
Yeah, I know. I've seen you cry. You cry at a lot of things.
At no point.
You cry when Dunkin' Donuts is out of coffee.
Dude, I cry at a lot of movies and a lot of TV shows. I really do.
Joe has a positronic soul. He does.
Sense8. Oh my God, Sense8. What a roller coaster of fucking emotions that show is. Like, what? Talk about one of my top shows of all time. That's one of them. Ted Lasso is so corny. It's so over the top fucking corny. He is.
Jen,
the show is.
This is for you, Jen.
People don't exist, Adelax. But like, I love this show. I cannot stop. And they make me fucking get all fucking sappy and shit. They do a great job.
Fair, Joe. I have shows that definitely make me sappy. You mentioned rom-coms earlier. We'll talk about this next week. I definitely.
Oh, I love rom-coms. They get me fucking all the time.
The Notebook.
Dude, Dude,
Big Fish.
Follow the Fleet.
Big-
Top Hat. I'm talking. I've been watching rom-coms that they made back in the fucking 40s.
Big
50s,
Big
60s.
Fish makes
Here
me
comes Bringing Up Baby. Fucking. I could.
When Harry Met Sally makes me cry.
Yeah, come on. Like.
Betrayed King says, you cried at Ted Lasso? What was it when
Yes,
Roy
dude.
broke up with
Like-
Keely Jones? Those damn Hallmark commercials. Scoutini, I lose it at those fucking Hallmark commercials. I'm one of those people that totally cries at commercials. Like, commercials make me
Dude,
cry.
when Ted Lasso had his first fucking anxiety attack, dude, that was emotional.
Luna, that's a good way of describing it. Shrinking was good, surprising. It took me a couple episodes to get into it, but it was good. Vanilla, but good. Yeah, it's well written. It's funny. Once you like the characters, it's worth watching.
Agreed. No, yep. It's good, but yeah.
And by the way, Data fucks lore.
They'll be unable to
I got you, motherfucker. I beat
Oh,
you.
we're back to.
You were back to Star Trek for a second. Okay. I mean, is there anything else? We're going to keep talking for a little bit, but is there anything else to talk about? This was a great episode of Star Trek. I liked it. I love it. Data's going to be really awesome moving forward. 7 of 9's really cool too. The end of the episode ends with Deanna going into Jack's mind. You don't care what's going on with Jack. I'm actually invested in wanting to know what the fuck's going on.
I care a little bit, but like, they're really starting to push it. It's coming to a head. I just wish fucking.
You don't like the character of Jack. I actually like him.
Had just told him on the bridge.
Oh,
like,
yeah, there was a lot of jerking with no coming going on in that bridge.
Right? Like, just come on. Just fucking tell him.
What do you think? I mentioned it earlier. What do you think she meant by "it's good that you're here to witness this" to 7 of 9?
And right, that's just it. Her mission is bring fucker back. And never once did we hear, but don't tell them why.
Joe, here it is. My favorite part of the episode.
I don't like Jack.
Let's listen to it.
Access and shoot systems. Shuttlecraft Emerson to Titan. Do you read?
Here we go.
We've got comms back. Shuttle, it's
I want to hear this whole part, Joe. So let's take a break.
Vadic took control of the ship, but we're taking it back, and we need you. You're clear to dock.
Copy that. Coming to assist.
Greetings, USS Titan. This is your friendly positronic, pissed off security. Back online.
Sign them. Go.
Unwanted guests and monologuing protoplasms. Immediate shift change.
Hey, boys.
Oh my god, I hurt myself laughing. They make Raffi dealable in this one. Joe, that was one of the best data lines in the history of the fucking Star Trek Next Generation. I'm not being hyperbolic. That was seriously better.
I agree.
Better than any data line they did in the movies with like life forms. Like, no, fuck that shit. Him with the Borg Queen and all that stuff was pretty interesting. But that was maybe the best data line in the history of data. So, because we've been hungry, we've been starving in the data village, in the data desert for 40 years and 40 nights, Joe. And they gave us
for a little bit of personality.
Yeah, they give us a ton of data, and I like the combination of data and lore. It's something I always kind of subtly, without realizing, wanting to happen. Like both their personalities merging. I think it's good, especially if Data's obviously the strong personality, and Brent Spiner now can play this character till he dies in the Star Trek universe, and that makes me happy because he's one of my favorite characters, and I think Brent Spiner is meant to play this character. Anything else he does is a little over the top and crazy, and except for Fresh Hell. If you've never watched the YouTube series Fresh Hell, did you ever watch that?
I did.
It's very good. You're very good.
Yeah, it is.
You're very good. Sorry. Yeah, but monologuing protoplasms, I want to get a t-shirt with that. Because to your point, Joe, that's what she's been the whole fucking time.
Yep.
And this is a thing
it got old enough where it didn't matter what bad things she had done. Big deal, she killed the Vulcan. Big deal, she blew up a ship. Big deal, she killed other people. Big deal, big deal, big deal. But you wanted to see her get sucked out into space, frozen, shattered, and then blown up, just because she wouldn't shut the fuck.
Yeah, and I like that they made notice of it, and I feel like this is a convention of modern TV. They feel like it's okay to do Joe's trope of the day. If
As long as you call yourself out.
As long as you call yourself out on it. And to a point, I agree, Joe, and I think it worked here. I think because the actor's performance was engaging and captivating to a certain extent, because she just played it really well. It's not like the character in Star Trek 1, the J.J. first one, Nero, where you basically don't remember him, or the villain that Idris Elba played in the third movie, or the villains for the last couple of seasons in Picard and Discovery. None of that stuff is really memorable. I feel like Amanda Plummer's performance in this trope police character in Star Trek is a memorable performance, Joe. Yeah. And this is the argument we had in The Walking Dead all the time. It might be the same old shit, but if a character does it well, I'm okay with it. Gareth might be another whatever, but I feel like he works on The Walking Dead.
No, Gareth. Oh, Gareth on The Walking Dead.
Yeah, the fucking.
I thought you meant Garrick.
Oh, Garrick definitely works. And we got some Jack stuff in the live chat. Adele says, "I don't like Jack."
Yeah, I'm with you, Alex.
Monologuing protoplasms. Luna, yes, I was going to say this actually earlier. The actor for Jack is also in the series You. He did that role much better because I could actually make the translation. Yeah, I could actually understand what he was fucking saying.
I understand him just fine. I just don't understand why they picked of.
Oh, keep going. I'm just playing in the. I want
just
to know.
Like, none of the aliens have a fucking accent. But like, there's an English accent.
he lived for a year in that situation. It was good when she was talking about Starfleet experiments.
Now, as far as we know, he's lived with his mother his whole fucking life. He's never been away from her side.
Joe,
he would sound like fucking her.
This is another great scene.
And humor, too.
Wow, that certainly is new.
Many things are new to me, including myself. I am still Data, but also more, B4, all that Dr. Soong programmed into this body.
Oh, tell me. How do you feel?
Joe.
Even Picard, who grew up in France, doesn't have a French accent. He doesn't even speak French.
Joe, this part right here got me very emotional.
I hope that you can sense
because I feel like
as any human
I feel like it actually completed a storyline from the original series that we never got closure with. Data has emotion, and Data and Geordi are friends. It's so beautiful, Joe. It's so beautiful.
The one thing that will remain forever constant.
Despite the fact that I'm going to kill you,
Joe, no matter whatever happens in life, I love you, man.
Yep. He just basically told him, I'm going to kill you.
Jack was also in Aragon. So yeah, this... And here we go. Notice how Troy in the scene hugs Data but ignores Geordi?
Yep.
Admiral,
like
ladies
what?
and gentlemen.
Like what the fuck? What's wrong with Geordi?
Introduce you to the newest version of a very old friend.
We're going to listen to this scene too.
With an upgrade.
Because this is fucking great.
Oh, I am mostly myself, I assure you. Albeit with a dash of computational joie de vivre.
Last time we spoke, you wished to experience death. As happy as I am that you're here, I hope that we haven't betrayed that wish.
Yeah, you did, motherfucker.
You kind of did, but this is here where they just go yada yada, Joe. I'm like, that me's dead. I'm happy to be here, dude.
This me would rather be no place else in the universe.
Oh, the music! I was tears, Joe, tears.
It's been a long time since we all sat around a table like this.
Too long, really, by far.
Yeah, why aren't you guys hanging out?
I'm so grateful to be here. Hardship may have brought me here, but I want you
Okay.
to know that there was
As a Deep Space Nine fan, this part kind of bothered me. I always feel like they were forcing with the Deanna and Beverly friendship. They don't have chemistry at all. Kira and Dax all the way. Like they act as good vibe sisters in the Star Trek universe. I feel like Deanna and like
Raffi.
Raffi, as much as I hate her in season 1 and 2, calling Jean-Luc Picard JL and all that sort of shit, I like her in this season. I think she works this season.
She's fucking annoying in this season too.
All that matters is that we are together once more. Because I need you.
I do like that they address the fact that, like, not everybody lives in Starfleet, so there is alcohol and drugs and criminal underworld and all this other shit.
That's because we're living in a Deep Space Nine world.
We've got almost no answers. We're analyzing the data that we pulled from the Shrike to see what it was that we were extracting from your body.
If I may, this is all factual information that ignores an emotional truth.
One which I felt the moment I set foot on.
Deanna's gonna be useful, Joe.
Whatever the changelings have in store.
Do you like that? I like what they're doing with Deanna in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Deanna does. That's the only reason why she's here.
Joe, but they never did it on the show.
What?
They never really
they
gave
did this shit all the time with her.
No, she basically she sat on the bridge and said, "I feel uncomfortable." That's it.
Everybody got their episode every season, at least one or two. 20 episodes a season. You're forgetting a lot.
They sucked. Deanna episodes sucked.
What? True. I'm not telling you they didn't. I'm not telling you.
Except for her
like
Romulan episode. I liked her
Emmy-winning episodes and shit, but.
Jen, he went to school in London. I have to admit the theme song got to me, says Luna. Does Jack have an English accent because Picard does?
Yeah, it's genetic.
They explain it in a Beverly's like, yeah, he went to school in Britain.
I dropped him off in UK and just left him there.
Joe, it's like the worst piece of business in the entire series. It's really bad.
Instead of telling you that you had a son and maybe having you watch after him and schooling him in France.
It's bad. They totally yada that whole situation.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad. And Luna, to your point, Joe says, Joe, that also annoyed me as well, Joe. No freaking French accent for Picard from France. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And you got to think that, I guess, England won the accent wars of the 25th century or something, whatever. Like, they decided to just have everyone have British accents instead, Joe. I don't know.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. So here we go at the end of this episode. What's in the door, Joe? What is in the door?
What's in the
What's in the door?
What's behind the red door?
What's in the door?
What's behind the red door?
And how come? Why is everything red in this universe? The Red Angel was in Discovery. Like
upside down.
Everything's red. You think it's the upside down? You're dying on that ledge. It's the upside. Do you watch Stranger Things? Are you going to review the final season?
Of course.
Okay, let's do it. Let's one of two live watches Joe and I are going to do this. Let's do a live watch on the fucking final season of Stranger Things.
Sounds good. I love Stranger Things.
Me too. Especially this most recent season. I thought this most recent season was one of the best. I think 1 and this most recent one were the two best seasons. The 2 and 3 were good, but this most recent one. I miss Quark and Rom too. I feel like we need some Quark in our life. Here we go. What's in the box?
We'll go together.
Let's go into the door, Joe. That's where I feel like Deep Space Nine knew their characters better, Jen. Kira and Dax feel like real people. Crusher and Deanna don't always. So that's the end of our episode of Picard, Joe. What'd you think? Well, I mean, I'm glowing and going in the season. You're not quite as high in the season as I am, right?
Yeah, I love it.
I mean, it feels like another season of Next Generation, or it feels like an extended 3-episode arc of Next Generation. It feels like we're getting one last 3-episode arc. I've said 3 things now. It feels like a Next Generation movie spaced out in a television series way.
Yeah. It's a trilogy.
Yeah. And it's fine. I'm enjoying it. I feel like I have to say this, as much as some parts of the first 2 seasons of Picard aren't trash. This should have been season 1 of Picard, not the last season.
No, this is what I expected season 1 to be, and I was hoping it wouldn't be this.
So you're more happy with it now that we finally got this after 2 subpar seasons of trying something different?
I thought season 1 was really good. I'm sorry. I really did. And
The
season
end
2 I didn't watch
sucked,
because
Joe.
I don't think so.
No, we'll have to do a rewatch.
I don't really
sometime.
remember the end enough to say, but I don't remember it being like, oh, that sucked. So
let's get into the live chat a little bit before we call this a night. Episode 8 rating 5 out of 10. Sorry, Phil. Don't apologize to me. We want the real ratings.
Yeah.
Joe, out of 10 side buttholes, what do you rank this season as a whole as first, and and season as a whole 8? This past episode,
the Star Trek season.
How about this?
Like here's the thing.
Do it, Joe. Tell us the thing.
Well, the rating thing. It's not universal.
No, it's
right?
about
I can't rate
the show it's trying to be.
Right. Like, so when I'm rating The Last of Us, it's on a different 1 to 10 scale than Star Trek. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
There's different things which would be on a different 1 to 10 scale than say a Jet Li movie.
Joe,
You know
I try to rank, this is me personally, when I rank a movie 1 to 10, I rank it for what it's, or a television show or an episode, what it's trying to do within its own kind of thing. You know, so how does this rank compared to other Picard episodes? And compared to other Picard episodes, it's an 8 for me, or a 7.5 and 8.
Yep.
And the season as a whole is the same. Picard season 1, I would say 5.5, 6 for me. Season 2, the same for me personally. This season, but if I'm ranking this against something else, but Deep Space Nine, I rank it against itself again. Where is it for episodes that I like? That's
right. Lunas has different standards, Joe, and different standards. Like, I'll rate my beer on 1 through 10 on how I like it, but it's a different standard for the wine.
Yeah,
it's a different standard for whiskey than vodka.
What's your favorite drink, Joe?
Like booze or beer, or
all in
like
all, if you again, we're playing this game tonight.
If I could only drink one thing for the rest of my life and it wasn't going to kill me by doing it.
If you could only have one alcoholic spirit for the rest of your life.
Alcoholic drink. I was going to say coffee.
Obviously it would be coffee. For me, it would probably be seltzer at this point, grape seltzer. But if you could only partake in one, and at your leisure, not you have to drink it all the time. If you could only choose one alcoholic spirit for the rest of your life, what would it be? It's a tough one. For me,
I would have to think, like, if I was going with spirit, am I allowed to have mixed drinks with that spirit? And the mixed drinks can be different?
No. It would have to be either...
Like, so if I chose, like, vodka, I'd have to just drink straight vodka?
Or you could say Screwdrivers or Sex on the Beach, like one drink. You could pick a mixed drink. But you can't just pick vodka and say multiple mixed drinks. For me, it would easily just be vodka. If I could only have one drink for the rest of my life, it would be vodka. Straight up. Easy. Easy for me. Beer for you, Joe? Beer, probably?
See, because at least you have 1,000 different types of beer. Vodka is just fucking vodka.
Fair.
Right? Like, it's a burn. It's either smooth or not. Like, at least beer, there's different flavor. Like, I could have a blueberry beer. I could have a watermelon beer. I could have watermelon.
I could have watermelon vodka, or I could have blueberry vodka.
Well, now you're taking different mixed drinks.
No, they're vodka. They have like blueberry vodka or infused vodkas with other flavors.
Well, now you're splitting hairs.
Oh my God. Okay, fine. Plain vodka. Fuck you. Then I would just drink plain vodka. So you're picking beer is your answer.
I don't know. I think probably beer, just because you can, I don't know, maybe whiskey. Probably beer, because I'd rather, if I'm gonna like accidentally drink too much, I'd rather be accidentally drank too much on beer than whiskey.
Scout Teeny, I'm not picking one straight. No, I honestly, knowing you, I would say your pick would be beer. You actually really like beer.
I did, but there's like no heartburn consequences either.
Yeah, we're in the Albert Brooks afterlife situation here. We're going to eat as much as we want without indigestion. And
Yeah, I'd
drink
say beer.
Beer. Betrayed King says heroin, obviously.
I drink that every day.
Yeah, you're going to have one thing the rest of your life. You're gonna, opium or heroin, of course.
It's not going to kill me?
Yeah, it's not going to kill me. We're in this afterlife situation. Oh, fuck yeah. We'll do that. Betrayed King says tequila. Luna says Romulan whiskey. Yeah, Romulan ale would definitely be a big pick. Romulan ale you can make with blue carousel, coconut rum, and Sprite. Thank me later. Those three things taste amazing together, and it's blue and sparkly.
Dude, give me a Caribou Lou any fucking day.
Joe, 2 weeks from now, I would love for us to somehow. No, it's a lot of money though to get those mixed drinks. To get blue carousel, coconut rum, and Sprite, and make some Romulan ales to drink.
I'll go with the Caribou Lou over that any day. That's the coconut rum and a pineapple juice.
Adele says Guinness. Joe, when it comes to beer, and we're going to end the stream here. I know Joe's going to have to leave in the next 15, 20 minutes here. But we'll end the stream here. Star Trek, great stuff. We'll be back next week to talk movies. We're going to babble a little bit here before we end with some stupid alcohol talk. But Joe, do you have a favorite beer? Like a favorite kind of beer?
Blueberry.
What was that?
Wachusett Blueberry, I think, might be my favorite.
Blueberry beer.
Yeah. And I know that's kind of blasphemy, but there's something about it. Like, I drink Sam Adams Boston Lager pretty regularly.
You're like me. You're not a big IPA fan.
Oh, I used to like a Harpoon and a couple different.
We love you, Jen.
Like Shipyard and Sea Dog or whatever, Ship Dog.
Sea Dog, motherfucking dog, dog ass, motherfucker.
But like ultimately, IPA after about half a bottle, it is straight heartburn for me. It goes right into heartburn territory.
Oh yeah, Luna mentioned this series, Joe. Joe and I have been. Thank you for the message, Luna, and thank you for the support. I want to send a special thank you to all of our channel members and the patrons that are left that help support what we do here. It means more than you know. Seriously, we're super chat donators. Money's tight and hours are tight. The older you get, time is tight. So I appreciate all you guys that help us keep being able to do this right now. Luna suggested a series, Joe. I think you and I are both really vibing on Apple TV. There's a series called Silo coming out on Apple TV, and Luna really wants us to cover it. So Joe and I will commit right here, right now, as you are a channel member, to watch the first episode and review the first episode, and we'll see how we feel about it.
That next week?
I don't think it comes out quite yet. I think it comes out in May.
Oh, we'll talk about that in May.
In May, yeah. Joe and I will absolutely.
What is this Silo about?
Yeah, give us a little info on it, but Joe and I will absolutely do the first episode at minimum. If we like it, we'll continue, but we can't promise past the first episode because if we don't like it, you're gonna hate. Watch us. We're gonna hate, like if we don't like it, it's gonna be a bastard executioner situation where we're like, we're gonna definitely do this series, the whole series. It's gonna be awesome. And it wasn't awesome, and we only lasted 3 episodes, and people hate us. Or the 24 situation where I roped
Aussie-based gin. What is Aussie-based? Is that they distill it out of Australians?
Jen, the more I hear about Australia, the more I think Joe and I and Tony, we all need to go down to Australia.
I need to be in Australia.
Yeah, we all need to party. The three of us need to all go down to Australia and party.
Australia, I want to go to Australia and New Zealand, but like three of like the top 5 places I want to go in the world are all right there: Thailand, Australia, New Zealand.
Now, Scout Teeny says, I don't drink, but I smoke enough to put an elephant in a coma. Had a great time, guys. Thank you. Jen Hack, who, thank you so much from Australia. You have been amazing tonight. We appreciate you more than you know. You were our first viewer tonight in this stream. You just gave us super chat donation, drunk on Romulan ale. You know what I got to do, Joe? I got to spin the fucking wheel. I got to spin the wheel for Jen. Here, Joe. Here we go. Let me spin this fucking wheel. Spin the wheel, super chat donation. Spin that fucking wheel, motherfucker. Here we go. Let's see what
I've never heard of that drink, 3-headed prehistoric shark.
It sounds fucking delicious, though, Joe. It really does.
Uh-huh.
It landed on... What's the fuck that landed on? It landed on I gotta do push-ups. Joe, talk while I do some push-ups.
All right, everybody, I want you to look at the form. Oh, he's doing it behind the chair, so you're not even going to get to see the form. The ass is poked up. He's in a triangle position. His arms are bent at the shoulder at 90 degrees, not 45 degrees. His arms are probably extended way past his shoulders.
Fucking stop, asshole. You're not doing push-ups.
And look, he had to take a break after 3.
No,
he got out 2 more.
No, you made me laugh. You made me laugh at 9, you asshole. Fuck you. Fuck you. I should have worn my headphones. That was my mistake. I heard you fucking barking in those motherfuckers. You're doing fucking planks or push-ups, you
He's
dick.
on the ground. Thank you, McRae.
Shut up. Assholes. Oh my god, I'm even drunker. Drunk on Romulan ale, you fucking asshole. No, Betray King, thank you for joining us. Star Trek is something I love, and Joe has a lot of love for it, but we haven't covered it a lot on this channel, so I'm excited for this stream, and then in 2 weeks, we're going to do the final 2 episodes of Picard.
No, we haven't covered a lot of it on this show because, to be fair, back where we're from, if you talked about being a Trekkie, you got your ass kicked like a Trekkie.
Kinda. And Joe, it also didn't...
I went to an all-boys school with 2,000 boys. And I was like a pseudo jock. I was like not a great jock.
Joe was like a wrestler.
Nerd either.
Joe was a wrestler.
Like, I couldn't talk about my love for.
No, and in fairness, Joe, our love for Star Trek, and when we already talked about it with our groups,
when I was at the chess club, I could though.
Our group, whether it was Dworkin or Fiven or all those people,
all love
it was pre-doing our show. I feel like I feel like I talked a little Star Trek on my old radio show.
Oh, probably.
If any television show I talked about, it was Star Trek, because we didn't really talk about TV shows on that thing.
No, and it's true. Dworkin is, we, for who we are as a group of friends, we're like a bunch of fucking nerds.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Like, it's a weird mix of brain in our group,
but different kinds of nerds.
Yeah, all of us, like straight up.
Even Nick in his way is like a sports nerd.
Oh, big time. Big time.
He's a total sports nerd.
Like, he's not a jock, but he'll recite stats. He'll talk about players on teams from 3 generations. Like,
Elia is a total nerd. Do we even have to talk about Dwarfburger?
Right.
Even though the dude Opie, all are like, Opie is probably the geekiest of all of us. Even if I go into the extended group, like people like
geeky outcast, fucking
Nikki
grungy rocker.
Yeah, Nikki C has his geekiness. If we go to some of the girls like Janelle and Nicole and all those people are all very geeky.
I'll say this. The girls, not so much.
No, they're more alternative. They're
the only reason why of us were ever been considered cool
yeah, it's
by
true.
Anybody outside of our group was because of the girls that fucking hung out with us.
Jess L, Nicole, and Katie. And Janelle and Katie and all those girls. In even my ex, and like it's because they're all cool.
Yeah.
They're very cool. They're cool, but none of us are. We're all some of the geekiest losers on this side of the ever. You have to be a geek though.
Look at the wall behind me, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, if we do something like this, we have to be strong. And I feel like, as much as this is you and me, Joe, and
this is all of our friends,
we could have done this with anybody. Like, as much you could have done something very similar to what you and I do here with Elia or Devin, or I could have done it with Devin or Elia. And
I couldn't have done it with anybody because I wasn't gonna take the time to do all that shit you got going on over there. With
Okay. In fairness, Joe, I love you. You can't be replaced. But I guess I mean I probably could do this with Elia. I could, and
you could do it with anybody else.
And
I could.
in fairness, as we've said,
I could sit in front of a camera on YouTube and like.
But think about it, Joe. When and you used to listen, but when I did my radio show at Salem State, I mainly had Craig and Alan and Devin, and I think I did have Eli on. I think the only time I'd have you on, I think you came in the studio once, but like twice. But mainly when I'd have you on, it would be through Ventrilo server. But really on that show, Devin and Craig and Alan and Matt even were more of a part of that show than you.
Yeah, because I was asleep at the time.
You were asleep at the time, yeah.
I had to work. I worked.
I did a radio show. The first hour I would play music, and the second hour I would just do like talk radio, babble. I would do current events. I'd like pull current events, news stories, and just talk about like silly, ridiculous stories of the week. And
it was the Seinfeld of radio.
It was about
anything.
It was really you listen. It was really about nothing, right? Wasn't it? It was just like me babbling about fucking nothing.
It was about stuff.
And Joe, you really weren't a part of it. Like you listened, you supported, you check in on the Ventrilo server. In the 3 years I did it, you and Katie came in twice, as you said. But like for the most part, it was me doing that alone, or John C. Reilly was a big part of that. And he was on probably more shows than anybody, than Craig and Alan and Matt and a few other people were more of a part of that than you were. You didn't really start to become the part of this thing. And I did a year of YouTube where I was just by myself doing the same thing and no one listened. And you came in on The Walking Dead. I think The Walking Dead was the first thing we did.
Yeah.
Anyways, everybody, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Jesus, there was 8 subscribers then.
Yeah, no, something like that. We for a while we had 8 viewers tonight, so it works.
It worked.
So everyone, you guys have been amazing tonight. Everyone's joining us. We know it's something new, so it's always harder to get people. But we will be back next week doing a game.
Close to 10 years ago.
Something like that. I think next year will be our. I think 2004. I think 2014 is when we started doing it. If I'm correct, I have to look back. It might be 2013, but I think it was 2014. So I think next year is our 10-year anniversary. But
wow.
Which is really fucking crazy.
Wow.
Luna says you guys need to write a book. I've thought about it sometimes, like doing an audiobook about our life and shit, because we have a lot of stories. A lot. Like, you guys haven't even heard a fraction of them.
I thought about embellishing my stories just a little bit here and there and just making a fiction book that's loosely based on
Joe, I've thought of the same thing. Like if we just took
and my dad's life, like mix them up a bit.
I was thinking about doing the same thing with my life and my cousin lawyer's life. I don't want to say his name, but my big guy, my bigger guy cousin, and my mother as well, like taking like all of those lives and wrapping them into one and writing a big story, like a Royal Tenenbaums mafia drug.
Yep. I wanted to do a graphic novel about it.
I think ultimately, Joe, what we're going to have to do, because of what ended up being our medium, is just doing a life podcast at some point in time. Where we just talk about our lives.
Okay.
The nursing home podcast. Yeah, no doxing. Definitely no doxing. Just you guys need to write a book. Not a children's book, but like a book. Change the names, protect the innocent. We could definitely do that, but we don't really do that. We end up saying a lot of like real names, unfortunately. Way too many real names, Joe. Okay, so we'll be back next week to talk about our top. Joe, do you want to do 10 or? Oh, we got to think about the topics. So Joe and I will figure it out, but ultimately I think what we're going to do is comedy, our favorite drama, our favorite crime movie, our favorite action movie, which action include I feel like Jay said it's the same, but because I want us to have to pick one, our favorite superhero movie, our favorite rom-com, our favorite like kung fu movie. like movie with like that kind of stuff, because I'm curious what Joe's favorite is, and I want to talk about my favorite. Shaolin Soccer, and I want to, and
that's a great movie.
Favorite Western. Joe,
I like
just
Western.
pick a bunch of genres. And,
we'll get into it.
And write your favorite movies of it, Joe.
So back to the podcast about our life.
Yeah, do
real quick.
Podcast about our life.
I got up to find a picture that my father put out for me that I found. He found. I don't know what Katie did with it, but I found another one.
It's not the one where I'm naked in the woods, right? Back it up a little bit. Oh no.
That's the one. That's what Phil looked like shortly after I met him.
Oh, I have short hair there in a stupid backwards hat, chubby face. I'm smoking a joint, obviously. That's my red hoodie. I missed that red hoodie and a white T-shirt. I don't dress much different now, Joe.
Nope.
Do you have any pictures of yourself, or are you just fucking?
are
you just embarrassing me on the fucking stream? Jesus.
I wanted, dude. Okay.
Can I do a poll to pick the 5 genres? We're going to do more than 5 genres. I can't. The only thing we can do with the polls is 4 options. They don't even let you pick 5. So basically what we're going to do is Joe make a list of genres, like every genre you can think about, and put a favorite movie. I'll do the same, and we'll just see how many we get. You know what I mean? Like just every genre you can think. Your favorite Western, your favorite rom-com, your favorite whatever, and we'll just talk about it. You know, it'll be a little more flex than usual, but we'll just talk about some of our favorite movies in each genre. Not a lot of different movies, just one from Joe, one from us, one from each of you in the live chat.
Okay,
do more push-ups. You can embarrass yourself. Don't let Joe win. I don't want to be pandering here for more money. More super chats. I'll spin the wheel. If it lands on push-up again, I have to do it. By law of the super chat wheel.
Okay.
Is this you as Elmer Fudd? Back it up a little bit. Which one are you?
Which one am I?
The one in the middle? Oh, no, on the right. Right? No, we know which one you are.
This one over here.
Oh, no, down? No, the one right below the little thing. Yeah. Pick it up a little bit. Up. There you go. Right there.
That's me.
And there's Joe.
That's first grade.
Oh, no. Betrayed King. I know you are. I'm just kidding. Betrayed King. Ribbing back. Lots of love. So, yeah, let's get the fuck out of here, Joe. Because I know you got to leave very soon. The Crow will be messaging you for a pickup any minute, and we need to do our after show babble. But yeah, we'll be back next week to talk our favorite movies in every genre. And I'll probably be back with Tony on Wednesday on the channel. And Candy Apple. Big Daddy Matt and I will be on Thursday evening at 6:30 p.m. to talk Season 4, Episode 1 of The Sopranos. We'll finally be back getting into Season 4. So make sure you check that out. 2 this week on the Issues program. And thank you to everyone that's been checking out our Better Call Saul content. We're going to do some more once Joe watches the final season. We'll catch up with Joe on a rewatch. I think it's being added to Netflix.
Yeah, I still can't believe I haven't finished it.
Me too. As much as I loved covering the final season, Joe, and talking about the final season, one of the best rated seasons here on the Issues program, getting views and stuff, it will always be a little sad that you weren't joining me at the same time because you joined me for all the rest of Better Call Saul. So It was just that the final season you didn't. But it also means we can double dip. So when the final season comes to Netflix, which I think is in the next couple of weeks, you can rewatch it and I can rewatch it and we can do the final season again.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So everyone, happy Easter, happy Passover, happy whatever the fuck you celebrate. Have a good night, Joe.
Peace.